right now. Top left-hand corner of Curious Minds, our grand finals, game 1 for ENCE Esports. This is Serral.
And in the bottom right, in the red, give him a great big cheer from around the world for Team NV, Maru.
Guys, fun fact here, we actually talked to Maru before the game started. He actually said playing one-handed with his other hand up to his mouth in a shush formation actually elevates his APM. So really, really cool to see Maru bringing out the elite strategies here in game number 1 against possibly one of the greatest European players to ever hit the scene.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to remove that possibly from your statement. Oh, actually, you know what? Rainer's also won a world championship, so it's fine. I would argue, you know, it's arguable who's the best player in the world, but I was gonna say, you know what? Serral is inarguably the greatest player Europe has ever produced. But again, Rainer, he has won a world championship. He's damn good as well. And I'm excited to see what he can do. You know, we saw in the WCS Signature Series where he's like, look, I want to be careful to not burn out this year. I'm going to let myself not do much, and then I'm going to grind for Katowice, and I'm going to be great. But you know what? Outside of who is the GOAT, I think the GOATs that DreamHack got are actually the GOATs here. We should probably talk about these two players right here, right now. Let's not bring anything else into it. This is the matchup that we have been dreaming of for years. Now, Maru might say that, okay, look, this is not the best map pool for me. I think the maps are arduous, to use his words. But he's also won every tournament he's played in since the new map pool. So, not exactly sure how much I buy that one.
All right. Well, big shout out to everybody tuning in. Blast this out there. This is my one selfless plug here. One of the best matchups here in StarCraft 2. Twitch.tv/AlphaXSC2. Share it with your friends. Share it on Twitter. Let's get everybody in here to enjoy the grand finals that we deserve. We've earned this. It's been a tough couple of years. StarCraft has been resilient. We've earned this, chat. We've earned this in a big way. So thanks so much for being a part of some great StarCraft history today. BeoMulf and I'll speak on behalf of him. We're so glad to be able to bring this to you. It's an honor and a privilege.
No, it really is, as we do see Maru with the Reaper going in. Of course, that's not much to talk about. So I think someone did the math. Never mind. He gets the drone, but it's going to be a Reaper in exchange, and already things are starting hot. They're starting spicy. But getting the drone, it's mental damage. Losing the Reaper, that's even worse.
Yeah, and it's going to be all about little wins here. This grand finals isn't going to be just a clear rollover of like, oh, it was just very obvious that one player just played very poorly and the other player just was able to expand. It's going to be tons and tons of little damage, snipes off here and there, couple of workers there, maybe one lane that's able to sneak up and get really extended scouting for even a split second longer. Watching for those little details is going to be really important here for us to navigate how this series is going to unfold. I mean, it's automatically going into a standard opening for both players. Very interesting, and just as I say that, Roach Warren goes down in an additional gas as well. So Serral's going to start trying to be a little bit tricky against his opponent.
I was going to say, Rushi, I'm going to stop you right there. This is going to be a big Roach timing here. We're going to see Serral go up to like 34 drones, 34, 36 drones. He's going to build a lot of Roaches. He's going to build a lot of Ravagers. And guess what? I believe I saw second barracks on production here. We got early stim. Maru going for that build, for that style that allowed him to 3-0 Serral in Aces ROG. But you know what? You know what's not all that great against, or you know what's actually very good, against a bunch of early Marines and Medivacs? Some Roaches, some Ravagers. They're not nearly going to evaporate nearly as well as the link going across the map. Now, of course, I believe actually the timing from Serral, no, he's going for defensive Roaches. Okay, that's interesting. I thought it was going to be for the Roach timing based off everything else that was happening here, but not too many Roaches out right now. He's going up to 46 drones, but even still, this 2-on-1 coming in from Maru is going to run into a fist of Roach acid, and that's not what you want to do if you're a Marine in the early game.
Yeah, but I'm worried about the stim timing here. Stim pack just finishes up, and stim to Marines, even without a whole lot of medevac support, will be very, very strong. And this is going to have a pretty decent amount. 2 medevacs going to go alongside it. A quick positional strike by Maru could deal a lot of damage very early on, but the Sling is going to be able to spot things out. We talked about little details, and Serral being able to scout this early is going to help him out a lot.
No, absolutely, that it will. So we got more and more roaches on the field here. Serral already doing a great job of establishing his creep spread. We talked in the last series, or was it 2 series ago, about one of the benefits of a Terran going for the 2-1-1. It means that you're able to drone, jump, and be fine. The other one is it means your creep spread is uncontested until those 16 Marines get on the map here. So with these roaches down on the map right now, Maru will not be able to find anything outside of Serral's bases. But we also got to remember here, the Queens are in proper position. 1 medevac is going to get target fired down. 2 more Queen shots. No, it will stay alive. And still, nothing has died. I think maybe 1 Ling has died, but nothing of consequence has died in this game thus far. The tension still builds.
I love those kinds of back and forths, right? Where it's just little damage here and there, and both players are very quick to pull units back, reposition, adjust. It's those types of things that we watch for, and we really enjoy when 2 players of equal greatness go up against each other and can really showcase it in a back and forth style. We are getting Glial Reconstitution built up here for Serral. These roaches doing a nice job of rotating around, and it's been very good scouting coverage here for Serral to be able to deflect a lot of this incoming damage. But now, right in the 3rd base location, gonna have to pull the workers. A few drones are gonna go down, and actually, no, only grabbing 1. It was a great ploy to try and eliminate any kills, but not quite. The splash damage just a little bit too strong.
You know, for a second there, I thought he was going to save it, which, you know, it's not the hardest thing to do, but certainly impressive little bit of micro there. Of course, you morph the spore after the shot goes off, and you're fine. Still a great move. But look at this, Serral. We talked about a couple things. Okay, really, we actually talked about Dark, saying, okay, is he going to go for big roach max? Is he going to go for that Dark style? Well, we have Serral going for Dark style. Right, he got roaches, but these are defensive roaches. These are mid-game roaches. Notice Infestation Pit is already on the way at 7 minutes in. He's just trying to get his way into those 2-2 lurkers ASAP. We're looking to hit with this sledgehammer of a Zerg force. Yeah, 200 supply, like 8 lurkers, 2-2, and just make it so hard for Maru to really look to expand, which I gotta say, slightly surprising considering the map. Curious Minds is a very short rush distance. Curious Minds has a wide open 3rd base. I very much expected this just to be a 1-1 roach max idea, as Serral looks to just really punish Maru for existing on this game 1, but no. We will see that quick hive. We will see that quick hydrant, and we will see those quick lurkers, I believe. Although I guess these could be for infestors.
I was going to say, he's playing very cautiously if he's going into quick hive here. We're seeing a lot of Ravagers come forward, additional roaches on the production tab, and here comes the Roach Ravager army. The tanks are not quite sieged up yet. Only 1 in position here, and that is going to get picked off, which means the tanks are going to have to lay in the way back by the ramp. So now that means the 3rd base has to get lifted, the workers get pulled off. It is going to be a better position to try and defend here in the 2nd base location, but Serral's got a lot of supply to play with here. 192 to 121. He has the high ground vision that Overseer is providing some major advantage here. That's going to force Maru forward. He has to stim into this, but look at this concave BeoMulf. This is going to be hard for Maru to try and defend against.
I mean, who cares about the concave here? It's the supply. Maru, he's down 40 supply of what he could actually be because he's just so heavily supply blocked, losing every depot there. So yeah, maybe Maru has enough money to do something. He has to build like 6 supply depots here to make sure that he can build anything whatsoever, which gives Serral so much more time on the map here where this army is powerful, so much more time delaying that 3rd base. But now we will have the tanks. They're going to siege up a little bit more. We no longer have that high ground vision, as Serral's just going to blanket the map with all of these vials, and this is now not a fight that Serral can take, not into 4 tanks sieged up like that. But still, the base of Maru the 3rd has been lifted for a while. And there we go. There's the hydrogen. There's the 3rd base. Excuse me. There's the hive coming down from Serral at this point. Maru going for a big drop. He says, look, I got enough tanks at home. I want to do commensurate damage. I cannot just sit here and not be allowed to mine my 3rd without much happening. But look at this. Serral, he has total map vision. At least anything that is relevant here. This drop is not going to get anything done. It's going to get found on out as we wait for the hive. A decent portion of the roaches of Serral just going to track that one down. But this will buy Maru time. He is able to go and get his 3rd base up and running just now. And of course, that's going to be the ideal here. He's already also on 5 tanks. So once the tank siege on up, it's going to be difficult. But, oh, 2 tanks are maxed together. Now it's only 3.
Oh, I mean, this is a great position here for Serral. Serral's, I think one thing we missed to talk about was Serral's supply blocked Maru for so long that he had to go out and get some economic damage, and he wasn't able to do it. Giant concave here of units as these Roaches and Ravagers are going to be able to move on forward. Workers get pulled off at the 3rd base line, but that's just going to buy a brief amount of time here. Maru's going to be able to push this back off for right now, but it comes at the cost of 11 workers positioning, and that's going to be more issues for Serral to deal with down down the road. 38 roaches, though, is not insignificant, and Maru needed that engagement to try and keep himself in this game, but it's a small win at best.
You know, that it is, you look at this, you're like, well, maybe, you know, the supply of Serral just gets evaporated into those tanks, but every time he takes that engagement, he gets more tanks. Every time he takes that engagement, he techs up again. We have 2-2 now just about done here for Serral. Maru, of course, has had it for a little bit now, but we have Lurkers on the way, right? Lurker Den is done, Hive is done here, Roaches, Ravagers looking to push on in, just remove the tank out here, trying to get the battles as well as they can, kill as many SCVs as possible, and now it's a 20-worker lead. It's double the army supply lead, which may not matter as much because this is Roach Ravager. That is a lot of supply inefficient army, but Vipers are now hitting the field. We have Lurker Tech whenever Serral wants to use it, and this is where things get complicated. He's gonna snipe the base. The files are gonna go on it. No, the repair is gonna be just barely good enough.
No, he's not able to clean it out, the hero SCVs to try and hold things in, and that could be a pivotal moment for Maru if he's able to stay in this game and stabilize. But look at that army graph. It is such a big difference between Serral and Maru. Maru's able to hold on for now, but look at that creep spread. It's just knocking on the front door, and he can't even land the third base anymore. The creep tumor is able to box that out, and that is a beautiful play here by Serral, blocking Maru out of his third base. A fourth base has been landed out at the 3 o'clock position, but this is still such a very contestable spot here. Serral needs to get this base, but I'm worried that the Zerg player has got sunk cost fallacy. He's invested so much to try and kill it, and he wants to continue to knock it down, but in the end, he's going to use more than he needs to get that done, and that's the scary part here for Serral, but he's going to be bringing Vipers into the mix now, so Blinding Clouds, those pulls are going to be really important here. Serral needs to try and find a way to close this out, but Maru doing a great job of stabilizing.
You know, I mean, we are starting to see Serral start to realize that, look, I can't just sit on Roach Ravager anymore. I need to do something with this. I need to start developing my tech. Or, sorry, make use of the tech that I've already developed. So Lurkers are now starting to hit the field. We have Seismic Spines coming in, Link Speed as well, just for a little bit more map pressure, maybe to get into that third later on. But also on the flip side here, Rushi, how many games have we seen a Terran player do just this? They look dead. The third base is not able to mine for 3 minutes. SCV's going down, but the Terran player hits 2-2. They hit 3-3. They're able to get to critical mass of tanks, and then suddenly, it's their turn to be active on the map. It suddenly is their turn to start finding more and more value, and I'm not going to say that's going to happen in this game yet, because Serral has not overcommitted to things. His tech is advancing in an extreme way, but we've seen this story before. And as the homily of Maru goes, once again, if you're ahead of Maru, you're just even. So we're going to have to see whether that homily bears true, as once again, we do have Knights of Ducks here on top of these tanks, just removing that tank out, removing the one thing that can really deal with these Lurkers at this stage in the game.
Yeah, it's a scary position. You are absolutely right. We've seen this time and time again where it looks like it's just on the edge of a victory for the Zerg player, but the Terran player holds on just for that split second longer, saves the base, or pulls those workers at the right moment, and now suddenly puts themselves in a position where they're able to take all of the units that they used to defend back at home and they push across the map. But Serral is not content with the damage. Oh, he kind of falls asleep on that push for just a split moment, but he's really working on getting these medevacs out of the sky. Parasitic Bomb to try and push those back, and they are going to be successful. Softens up those units. They're not going to be able to just blindly dive into the base, but the tanks are still getting a really good amount of damage here on the Lurkers on the high side. Serral is kind of getting a little sloppy with his engagements right now. Maru capitalizing on that, and he will take units for free. You want to give me those Lurkers? Fine, I'll snatch them up. I'll take your sloppy play, and I'll extend this by just a little bit. 11,000 to 9,000, very, very close margin that benefits Serral for the time being. But once again, he cannot continue to just allow Maru ability to wiggle. That fourth base is settled in. The creep spread is slowly starting to push to the top right side of the map, but Maru only grows stronger with time.
I mean, that he does, but you talk about resources lost, by the way, Rushi. Yeah, it's like 1,000, 1,500 resources in minerals. It's 2,000 gas. That is really the most important thing when we look at a Zerg army anyways, but now we do have Serral pushing on in here, trying to get on top of this planetary. Nice blinding cloud. Speaking of the planetary, cannot really fight back all that well. Maru looking for the concave, and he's going to try to target down some of these Lurkers, but the blinding cloud on the bio says, no, you don't get to do that. Not here, not now. The fourth base is going to come under fire. The fourth base is going to go down. The surround from Serral finding its way on into the left-hand side. Maru's army crumbling. And this time, the supply, in fact, it does not lie. Maru's army falling apart. He has no money anymore. He's not really mining. Although that being said, the fact that he has not been able to mine from this third base for most of this game means that it has a little bit more than we might otherwise expect.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what Serral needed here. He needed to be able to shut down that base to try and equalize an economic lead. And we can see there the little arrows. They don't tell us a lot, but they do tell us. Oh, what a great bile catch on both of those liberators. But it does tell us that he is starting to secure a little bit more of that mining advantage here. And it's just been a long time since Maru's been able to even get out of his base. And that's a perfect example. Maru thrives in being able to get across the map and cause chaos in main bases, in outer lying bases, in run-bys. And he's just not been able to do that in game number 1.
You know, that being said, we are starting to get to that stage of the game where Maru is scary. He does have +3 armor, or +3 attack. No +3 armor just yet. He hasn't been able to afford it, but he does have ghosts on the field. And that does make problems here as Serral is trying to knock down the high gas units of Maru as well as he can with these roaches, these ravagers, that honestly, he doesn't really want anymore. And I believe he just managed to kill every single ghost in that fight. Another one does join, but I think he killed off 3 or 4 ghosts. And when you look at Maru's late game, right, what is the hallmark of Maru's late game? It's ghost control. It's his ability to maintain ghosts, his ability to not lose them and just use them fight after fight, gain value there. And now we have the lurkers. They're going to find their way out. A nice parasitic bomb on top of these Vikings, meaning that, well, they're not going to be able to do too much more. This time, Maru falls down below 100 supply. GG Serral, dominating from post to post, takes game 1. In the bottom left, in the blue, he is Serral.
And in the top right, for Team NV, the Korean Terran, this is Maru.
All right.
Oh,
Rushi?
we got a grand finals as well. Oh, it saved. The grand finals has saved everybody. So wonderful.
It is, and look at this. Serral, well, he's not interested in going into the late game on Glittering Ashes. He remembers what happened with Hero Marine. He's like, no. I want to win this game. I don't want to play another 40-minute game. Even if I, as a caster, if you all as viewers really want Maru versus Serral mining out this entire map, like that sounds incredible. So he's going to go 16 pool. Now, of course, this could be the roach timing that we saw Dark do, and I don't think he got... Yeah, no, that was the one on Berlingrad where he overcommitted, didn't really quite get enough done. This can, of course, just be for the 6 lings. 4 across the map to try to cancel a command center, 2 to deny the scout. We're going to have to see what exactly he's going for here, and also whether Maru goes for an SCV scout. Because that is the goal behind this. I mean, Bjorn used to not do that, and Rainer did this exact build to him just enough that, well, he stopped doing that. He did start SCV scouting. And this game, yeah, no SCV scout for Maru. He's going to rely on the Reaper, which means that this command center is going to be delayed.
Yeah, and it's a bold play, but I mean you don't win grand finals by not making bold plays, and there's risk involved. So it's not an undersold tactic to use, because if you cut those little corners and it pays off, then you get to win elsewhere. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Maru's going to have to pay with the Reaper Scout. That means that his natural is going to be delayed by a little bit. Marine should be able to help clean that up, but there's going to be a lot of dancing back and forth here. It'll also be a matter of whether or not Maru wants to pull the Reaper back to help deal with this. It's absolutely possible that might happen, but here come the Lings into the natural. A couple are going to be able to split off to the SCV, immediately gets pulled, and the Lings are ready to meet them. They're going to be able to get up into the main base, but the SCVs are going to push everything back. So now it's going to be a dance between, what do you want to lose more, Maru? Do you want to lose your workers, or do you want to lose your natural? You get to choose.
Well, actually, Maru's doing a great job of not losing anything. He says, yeah, I'll take a delay. But no more than that, as we will finally see one of those SCVs go down. Reaper has been forced to return home, which means no pressure. The natural is about 30 seconds later than it would want to be, but Maru, you know, this is not quite as disastrous as it might be for just a 2-base setup, for a 1-1-1, for a 2-1-1. Because Maru, at 230, he took his third, or 240, something like that. He's going for a 3-base play here, and that makes sense, because what better map to do it on than Glittering Ashes?
That's very, very confident defense there by Maru. It does limit the amount of scouting information and damage that this Reaper can do out across the map, but Maru's still making the most of it. And again, you talk about playing really confidently and making big plays for big results. It also comes at the same cost where you try to make a big play and you don't capitalize on it. And Serral's having to deal with that right now, but as it sits, he's got a worker advantage. He's not letting it slow him down. He's getting his creep spread pushed out, third base on the way. Both players are not going to overreact from something or from an engagement like this one. They're just going to let it try and propel them forward.
You know, that it will. And, you know, the benefit here of what Serral went for is there was theoretically a timing. Of course, when you do go for this pool first, your gas is going to be a little bit delayed. Speed finishing at 345 instead of 330. There was theoretically a timing, right, where Maru's able to push on in, take advantage of that slow speed, and maybe find some commensurate damage. But because of the timing disadvantage that Maru was put into by being forced to pull his, pull 12 SCVs and just not have his base for a while, it did mean, and especially with how big this map is, Maru not really able to punish that. So Serral, he's got his third base now. He's droning up hard. And, you know, honestly, Rushi, at the end of the day, yeah, maybe one could argue it's a minor advantage for Serral. But on the flip side, this is Glittering Ashes. We've talked about it. Games don't end before 15 minutes. This is, we're going to get to late game. We're going to get to 3-3. And we're going to look back on how this game started. I think it was just a memory. A dream, maybe. A dream for the Terran who likes to nap. I don't know if you saw that the interview that I'm talking about.
No, I didn't. I was obviously I was busy with my All-State Music Festival, so I didn't get a chance to catch a lot of the content. I'm excited to see it, though. I know it's been amazing. Shout out to all the people who have helped make all of those interviews and extended content possible for this event. We're super proud of it.
Yeah, so after the quarterfinals where Maru beat Raynor, Steadfast asked him, he's like, "Hey, look, Maru, what do you do when you're not playing StarCraft? Like, what's your hobby?" And Maru's like, "Well, I like to lie down in my bed and daydream."
Oh, okay, I did see that one. I did see that one. Okay, it's got heavy monk-ass energy for me. Anyways, okay, picking off these overlords is going to be really nice. That's going to lower the supply cap here for Serral, as it also eliminates a lot of the scouting potential. But we do have centrifugal hooks on the way. There's going to be banelings available. This push is going to come in. It should not be a major scary push, but it still could potentially get a lot of damage done. How many times have we seen a small hit squad of Marines get way more damage than it ever should? Especially when there's overlords abound. Run away! But I think it should probably be okay here. Nice little pickup, but grabs a few of the creep tumors, grabs an overlord for free, and it's going to be a spire out of Serral. How do you feel about that, BeoMulf?
I love it. On this map, there's so much dead airspace. It's so easy to ping pong between the left, right, and the center. In fact, if you remember, if you had a chance to see this, the one game that Maru lost to Raynor in the quarterfinals was on this map, was with this style. And Raynor had a shaky early game. He took damage from Maru in that game. This is honestly one of the perfect maps for Mutiling Bane in this style. And Serral has taken no damage. Yes, his 1-1 is going to be a little bit delayed compared to the Terran, but not by all that much, because he was able to delay all of the tech of Maru, and Maru has gone for a 3cc play. And in fact, traditionally, while this is not 2-base Muta, 2-base Muta is the traditional counter to any sort of three command center play. So certainly Serral has everything that he's looking for in this game. Now he has to crush this push, and that will buy him the time that he needs to get out his looks like he's gonna have enough gas for 10 mutas and really start to put pressure on our Terran base.
Yeah, and I think getting into the mutas on top of being able to ping pong between Maru's bases, he's going to be able to ping pong between his bases as well and protect, as Maru right now getting into his double pronged aggression, trying to see where Serral's going to slip and not pay attention on one of these pushes. And as long as these medevacs are allowed to stay in the sky, it's going to make them much, much easier to maneuver back and forth. It's going to give these armies a lot more depth and mobility, but the mutas put an end to that. They can chase units down. It can actually crush one of these and give Serral a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love the double split off. He's like, look, you'll get one, but you won't get both. You won't take me alive. But unfortunately, he will be taken alive anyway, so that drop is going to be taken down as well. Mita's doing a good job staying on top of it. The clutch transfuse from Serral saying, no. Mutas are expensive. They're an investment in the future. I protect my investments. And I like to see them appreciate at roughly 10% worker return.
Oh, he's getting a big return. All right, 176 to 142. Maru's not been able to slow Serral down here. His creep spreads halfway out across the map. He's got a swarm of Ling Bane. Now, Maru is going to be able to transition into Thor production, and that's going to help deal with the mutas in the short term. But in the long term, what is that going to mean for Serral? Serral's got 2-2 on the way. His melee attack is en route. His carapace. He's going to pick up +1 flyer attack as well, so he's going to commit all in on this muta play for right now, but he does toss down his infestation pit, so a hive is going to be underway. I wouldn't even be surprised to see us get into some broodlords and some late game tech. This is going to be a bold play here. Ling's going to try and work their way on in, but the banelings are not going to be able to connect alongside them. The Lings are all taken care of by the time the banelings were able to get there, so a little bit of a mismatch timing for Serral to try and get that, and suddenly now that evens up the army supplies a bit.
Those Hellbats killed like 40 supply of Zerglings. That was, you don't see Hellbats be all that useful at this stage of the game for the most part. I mean, yeah, you got your armor, and you still have your Hellions, so you might as well warp them. You know, they're good in the army. But the Zerglings flooding in like that through just the little alleyways that Maru was able to make between the Hellbats, it just so much went down, so much died. I think really that's been the most cost-effective Hellbats I've seen for a while. But as you said, Infestation Pit is on the way. Serral, he's going to have the Hive done right around the time that his 2-2 is done. He's going to be able to just really advance that tech. Now, what you said with Broodlords, though, there is, you know what's actually kind of interesting? I've seen a couple Lingbane Muta styles play. It's like you see it once maybe every out of 10 games. And on maybe 1/3 of those games, we actually start to see the Zerg player say, look, I forced you into Thors. I forced you into Widowmines. All these things that they don't fight Lurkers all that well. They don't fight Hydras all that well. So what if I go and I say, you know what? Okay, fine. You have the counter to my counter. What if I counter the counter to my counter?
Ow, my brain. No, it's all about mind games at this level. I mean, you got both players that are playing very, very confidently. Oh, these mutas are dancing with death right there. Very, very delicate balance between these two players, but the mutas are going to be able to get out with minimal damage in that third base location. But when you have two players that are playing at the same level of micro and the same level of thought process, it's all about those mind games, right? Try and outthink your opponent or underthink them or some way to get an advantage.
Yeah, maybe even you side think him. Now, as much as I said, oh, yeah, well, maybe Hydras are going to be a good idea in this game. That's not what's happening, as you did point out. We have +2 ranged underway. This is battle mutas, and this is a style that we have not seen in quite a while. Ultra Cavern coming down as well, but honestly, I'm a little bit worried about it. Yes, you get so much map control with this style. You're able to develop your creep. It's making it so hard for Maru to really move out on the map. But you got to remember, this is a Terran that you're not breaking on 4 bases. This is the new Romanticide. This is Glittering Ashes here. Getting into the core 4 of the Terran is just so gosh darn difficult that Maru will be able to mine for a time, and he will have that 3-3 versus 2-2 timing, that thing that has killed Muta Lingbane players for years. Maru's going to have access to it. We're going to have to see whether he can make that work here. Now Serral looking to push on in. The Widowmine on top of all of the Banes. So many Mutas go low as well. And that was a 30 supply drop. Now, wait, I'm sorry. Maru's down 30 supply.
Yeah, it could have gone a lot better for Serral, though. It was a nice grab by that Widowmine onto those Banelings. Banelings not able to connect the way they needed to. They still got some damage done, but that could have gone so much better. Banelings going to come in on the right-hand side. They don't want to engage into those Marauders. They're not going to have a Baja Blast if they get into there, but the amount of damage that Serral is trying to accomplish right now is staggeringly high, but the amount he's actually getting is not very high. Maru's able to stabilize here. He's rotating around. That 3-3 you were just talking about, that is going to be coming up here really, really quick, and suddenly these units are going to be very, very scary against this Mutiling Bane army.
Yeah, of course, another thing we're looking at here, does the Thor get 3 shots? 3 shots to kill a Muta, but it looks like the Medevac's going to be able to keep it alive. The Mutas will be able to stay alive here as we have really a different fight, a really separated fight here by Serral and Maru. Serral kind of wins the right side, kind of loses the left side, but Maru is pushing now. He knows that this is his timing. The Mutas not nearly as impactful as they were. Creep spread starting to get pushed back here for the first time in what feels like, 10 minutes? And now Maru again with this 3-3 timing, he's going to be in a good spot. Ultras are not ready yet. I believe maybe some are morphing, but chitinous plating is not even done. 3-3 is not yet done here, and the army of Maru is looking absolutely massive here, trying to find his way on into this base of Serral. He will get that. The drones have been sacrificed. They are going to have to run away. The Queen's dead as well. but Ultras are on the way. They will be 2-4, they will not be 3-5. But at the very least, they're going to be able to do something here. And I love this. Serral's been doing this all game. He's been doing this all tournaments. We have random pairs of Widowmines all over the map, random pairs of Banelings all over the map, trying to get down this army of Maru.
Yeah, he wants it so bad. The viewers want it. We want it. He wants it. It's everybody. The army's in retreat. Is he going to be able to pull it off? He does. He grabs it. It's a small amount of units, but every unit counts in these engagements here. He's going to have to pull off of this base. The drones are evacuated. Not very far, but here come the Ultras. That's going to allow an engagement here as the mutas are going to be able to engage on the right-hand side, but is there enough for the Ultras to get on the ground? And they absolutely will, and the mutas will be able to prevent the escape here as they will pick off all of those medevacs and the Thor down with it. Serral 191 to 157. Maru just lost a lot of big units here. He's going to have a difficult time replacing them, but ghosts are in the production tab 6 at a time.
Yeah, that's a lot of ghosts indeed. So Maru just killed 2 bases of Serral. Serral just killed like 50 army supply of Maru. Maru's bank that once was skyrocketing ahead of the Finnish Zerg player, it's not there anymore. It's not that massive economic glut that Maru has had access to over the course of this game. And now we have Serral looking to move on in, looking to take advantage of that timing, of that quicker reinforcement that he has access to. As now the mutas, they're just going to try to get on top of these Liberators. But with the bio here, with the ghosts, with the Thors, Maru cannot break his way in. And every time you take an engagement against this style, when you have these high value, these high impact units, whether they're lurkers, whether they're mutas, whether they're ultras, when ghosts hit the field, you're not getting them out of there.
It's a rough back and forth right now for both players. I just keep watching the banks as they just deplete time after time after time. This is such a good macro battle between these two, and they are just continuing to rotate around. We are getting personal cloaking device available on Ghost, which is going to make it taking down those Ultras that much easier and that much more aggressive. Serral's going to have to find a way to deal with Maru's ability to remain aggressive, because every upgrade that he adds in, Maru's going to be able to dive a little bit deeper onto creep. He's going to be able to clean up just a little bit more. Serral with a really good block here on that base, but Serral needs to stay on top of the aggression here. Maru's doing a really nice job of rotating around as well, and he's going to be able to try and protect some of these different mineral lines, but can he protect against this? This is a really sizable force. One Liberator says, don't worry, I got this.
Yeah, you know, all I'm saying, Rushi, is that I was right. Maybe like 20 minutes too early, but we have plus 1 range coming on in. Would not be surprised to see us move into a big tech swap here from Serral, because he's starting to realize that this army that he has is a very mid-game or later mid-game focused army. Maru is in a position to deal with it now. He has his excuse me. He has his 6 bases on the map right now. He's hit critical mass of ghosts. He's at 14. This army that Serral has made, yes, he's traded out fairly decently for the economic state thus far, but it's very quickly going to start to see, we're very quickly going to start to see that really expand, that gap really start to increase, unless Serral does make a change. The mutas are going to try to fly on in, but there are like 7 missile turrets right there, and even with the plus 1 flyer, that's still gonna die.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting sacrifice, and now Serral again has sunk cost fallacy. Like, well, I took my mutas here, now what do I do with them? So he's gonna kind of plot out where he might want to jump, but Maru's done his due diligence. He has the coverage with those missile turrets, so that's going to be a difficult way to get in there. Banelings are going to be used to help try and pick this off. He'd love to grab some workers alongside of it, but he's going to have to settle for just the planetary fortress unless he can get on top of the ghosts as well. Ghosts are not going to take as much damage as Marines otherwise would, so they'll be a little bit more resilient against those Baneling run-bys. 64 more Lings on the way, and the Greater Spire just now finishing up.
Here's the important thing. We see pathogen glands on the way. This is how, in that DreamHack Masters winner final series, we saw Serral win. We saw him get into these late games. You're like, okay, oh no. Right? Maru is the best player in the world in this stage of the game. Bar none. At least in this matchup. But Serral got into infestors. He got burrowed infestors all over the place. He was able to start landing those fungals. He was able to make it so that A, ghosts could no longer get their snipes off because of the damage there. It means that B, he can force Maru to not be able to multitask, to not be able to micro nearly as well as he might otherwise look to do so. That being said, I love the bait here. Marauders say, yes, come go kill me. I have ghosts on the other side. You're going to have every single muta get sniped on down. And now we're starting to see the economy here of Serral get broken down here. That base that he took 2-3 minutes ago, it's not allowed to mine anymore. It's not there anymore. So we have infestors on the way, timed out with pathogen glands. We have, of course, our Greater Spire done, +3 air attack underway. How do you feel about Broodlords as we get into this late game Rushi?
I mean, it's not a bad call. The ghost count's really high for Maru, which is a scary position to try and play into. But Serral's setting himself up for so many different casters. He's getting his infestors. He's getting neural parasite. He's going to have energy available for all of the different fungals that he needs to lock things down. He's gonna be able to pick off this base once again. Yes, it does finally go down. Banelings are gonna be able to get on top of a few of those ghosts, but not a terrible exchange. It's a lot of gas for maybe a similar amount, but the reality of it is he is going to have to still navigate his way through the engagement here, and this is another good moment here, catching a couple of these Thors out just a little bit. Banelings are not going to be as useful against those. He doesn't want to just throw those away. He is going to be able to back those up, but look at the worker count continuing to grow. The worker kill, rather, 17 in total, and he's going to be able to pick off more at this base. The mines are waiting on recharge here. This is a great pickup for Serral.
That it absolutely is. He got the base in the upper left. He denied for a time. I mean, granted, Maru has like 27 command centers at this point. Doesn't stay down for very long, but he denied the mining, and he'd killed the base on that right side for a while. So Maru down 2 bases from where he was a minute ago. We're going to see one Fungal go down, but these are a bunch of units that really don't care about Fungal. They got a very, very healthy HP number that is going to be able to keep them alive. So Serral will lose another base as he's trying to make something happen here, trying to delay bases as much as possible. He's going to lose that base that he has lost once before, as actually Fungals are going to go on in. Serral just a little bit too late is going to be able to make this happen as Maru on the backside. He will be able to target fire one of those infestors down, and this very much is going to, it feels like this game is not going to turn into a game of the bases that both players expect themselves to take. It's not going to turn into a game of Maru taking the 3 o'clock base. It's not going to turn into a game of Serral trying and not trying to take that base that he just lost. It's going to be a game of who can steal a base from their opponent. Can Serral take the, I don't call it the 4 o'clock base that no one has taken thus far? Can he take it from Maru? Can Maru start to mine from one of Serral's core bases that he, or Serral's extended bases that he wants to take? At this point, I mean, I don't see any ending in this game. We're starting to see every player get every single upgrade. Surprised we didn't see Warren to Lurker play again, because we did see that +1 ranged. It does seem to make sense with everything that we have here, but no, we got Serral looking to crush on in, but it's so hard to go through the center of the map there. That choke is so thin.
Yeah, it's a rough place for the Zerg player to try and engage into, and with those giant beefy Thors, they'll be able to block a lot of those attack paths and just get a whole lot of damage done. But we have nukes in the production tab. Let's go. We're gonna get full circle on this game. Maru's gonna try and capitalize. Are we gonna get a solar situation where a stray nuke manages to eliminate a giant portion of the army of Serral? We're gonna have to see, but Maru wants to keep it interesting here and really pull Serral even further apart than he already is right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by the way, the endurance that this game requires from both these players, especially after the game that Serral played against Here Marine as well on this map, I mean, and that is the fact that these players are still playing as well as they are is incredible. We have 5 more maps to go. Fingers crossed. Now, you good there, Rushi?
So many maps.
Okay, so many maps indeed. So now we do have Maru looking to push on forward here. He's got Liberators. He's got 3 of them. That's a circle of death, if I've ever seen one. And we're starting to see Maru do that thing in the late game that really works out well for him, especially against all these Ultras here, where you go and you say, okay, well, you know what? Ultras are really bad against buildings. Their AI really likes to hate it, so I'm just going to build planetaries at random spots, at the chokes on my side of the map, and I'm going to make it so hard for you to ever engage into me that you're never going to take a cost-effective trade. You're never going to be happy, and just eventually I'm going to grow. I'm going to be able to develop myself on the map even more, and then, well, eventually, you're not going to have enough money.
Yeah, and that's going to be the late game situation here, is who's going to be able to have the most amount of resources to work with. And this is a very scary moment here for Maru. He has to get these back, but look at the splitting on these ghosts. He's able to mitigate a lot of the damage. Banelings are not going to be able to capitalize on the exposed ghosts, and suddenly now having to reset.
Well,
a beautiful fungal. That infestor died for the swarm to make sure that those ghosts would suffer, and a lot of them do get weakened, and not all of them picked off though, but a decent amount of damage done here for Serral. He's got to feel good about that. That gives him a little bit of time to recollect here, but look at that units lost tab. The resources are just out of control here for Serral. He's lost so much, and here comes the first nuke.
Yeah, it's about one base's worth actually of resources last year coming on. Is that Ghost? There we go. We'll go on down here. Now the army chasing down. Zergling's trying to get on top of things. Of course, Ghosts actually fight Lings pretty well, but not this. Not with the 3-3, not with the detection. The army of Maru has been forced back. So many Ghosts going down, and we talked about this. Maru, his Calling Guard, his ability to win these late games, it's not his extreme economic dominance, although that helps. It's not his Thor production, although that helps. It's his ability to keep his Ghosts alive and just generate so many positive trades with them over the course of the game. Well, his Ghost count has now been reset.
And that's going to be difficult to replace. Look at his bank. He's got nothing. He's running on fumes. He's got the base here in the top left-hand corner, but he needs gas extractors. He needs everything. He needs to land about 10 mules right there so he can get caught back up, and that's going to allow Serral to capitalize on the mining that he's able to do on his own. But there's a couple of bases free in the bottom right-hand corner. Serral's going to take the opportunity to try and force the engagement here in the top left. He's got burrowed units that the bottom right is taken care of. The Lings and the Bane's going to be able to work in on the top side here. Baneling's continuing to roll forward. There's just so many, and they're able to capitalize. Ultra's coming in from the right-hand side. The Ghosts have to retreat once again, but all of the air units get cleaned up, and Serral picks off quite a few valuable units, and now the base in the top left is completely exposed. Here come the Zerglings.
Yeah, they're not. Well, actually, I'm sorry. That's not a planetary. That's an orbital that was floated on over. Great. I would have loved to see Serral. I think it's honestly, I think it's worth it losing a couple of Lings there to get all those fresh mules down. Because look at Maru mining 750 minerals a minute. Actually, more so. We can only. So, fun fact, friends. Every carat, every tick in that mark is about 250 minerals per minute over the opponent. But it only goes up to 3. So we are over 750 minerals a minute now that Maru is mining more because he just dropped like 10 mules. That's a lot of money that's going to be flowing into Maru's coffer right now. His bank is about to be replenished, even as, of course, he's not really mining all that gas. But here we are. Now the mules are done, and what's Maru going to do? He's going to pick up. He's going to pick up. He's going to return that orbital back to a safer spot because he's like, look, I just plundered 2,500 minerals out of that mineral line. Well, let's do it again a little bit later. It's fine because look at all those mules on the bottom side.
I mean, it's such a numbers imbalance right now where Maru's got more workers, but he's not able to capitalize and utilize all of them. So despite the fact that he has them, he needs to be able to use them. And now getting this base secured is going to be really important, but it's not a planetary just yet. So these units can be able to get in and engage. Will they be able to get the Banelings far enough forward here? He thinks about going for the worker count, but instead he wants to find those Ghosts and soften them up. All of the valuable bio is protected here on the left-hand side, and that means the worker line is going to be protected for now. One Ultra is not going to be enough to wreak havoc there, and both players are just like running units around the map trying to find something. What a scrappy game number 2.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only reason that fight went as well as it did for Serral, and by the way, I mean, it wasn't the best. He was able to trade somewhat, but he doesn't have a lot of minerals left in the bank. He's not really mining all that much right now. Was the fact that the fungal on the backside stopped all the Ghosts from channeling any snipes. They weren't able to do anything. They just had to sit there, and yeah, they didn't die, but it was just Marine, or it was just, you know, Ling, Bane, Ultra against 4M. The Ghosts were not allowed to be involved, but look at this. Serral, he's like, look, I have not a lot of minerals. I'm still mining, but I don't have a lot of minerals at this point. I have a lot of gas. Infestors, they cost a lot more minerals than gas, and they've been winning me fights over the course of this game. So let us build some infestors. By the way, point out here, as we do have units lost, Serral has actually started trading a little bit better in the late game than he did. It was about 14,000 resources lost, and I think if I did my math right, it's about 12,000 resources now. And the big deal, of course, the gas losses. The gas is lost is just about identical, so we're not seeing Maru really start to skyrocket there, even as he is able to reestablish some of his gas mining. But here we go. Broodlords are on the way, but it's going to get scanned out.
Yeah, it's going to get scanned out, and look at the supply, my friend. 196 to 142. Serral doesn't have the means to try and rebuild. Some big fungals, though, will help out, but the Broodlords aren't done yet. They're not going to be able to be a part of the fight. He needs those to help out. The Broodlords are going to start popping here, but now where are the fungals? They've all been utilized, and he can't lock these units down anymore, but he's getting as much done as he possibly can. Quite a number of those Ghosts have gone down. There's a few remaining here. They will be able to snipe out some of these units, but 2 Broodlords on the high ground remain. 20 SCVs went down in the process, but is that going to be enough? I don't know if that's going to be a strong enough response here by Serral to lock this in. 134 to 94, the final Broodlord in retreat. And mines finally take it out. The Marauders, no need to shoot up. The mines will take care of the business for them.
What a fight there from both sides. I mean, we saw the chain fumble there, just not allowing Maru to get on top of those Broodlords until they already did their damage. But on the flip side, Maru finally finds his way out, and he kills like 7 or 8 infestors. He gets all the Broodlords. And yeah, his army's in the sky right now, so these Lings and Banes are actually rather scary. But that was really and truly the last army of Serral. He's not mining anymore, not really. He's got the army, excuse me, he's got the base in the upper left, kind of. And we are starting to see him spike in mineral income just a little bit. But he's now 60 supply down. He's down a 50 army supply. And at this point, he doesn't have the time anymore to build that really expensive army. He doesn't have the time anymore to build up to those Broodlords. He's going to be forced to give up one of his last mining bases here, but we do have 6 infestors on the way. It's not going to be in time. GG Maru, he asserts his kingship, and it's now a best of 5. You know what? After this performance from Maru, after this performance from Serral, with how late it is for Maru and GSL Super Tournament, everything else, you know what we need to do, Rushi? You know what we need to do is reward for both these players for just playing hopefully 7 insane games.
What?
Oh. Well, to keep them alive and awake for the next part of their day, just send them some G Fuel.
Yeah, I was gonna say possibly the official drink of esports. I definitely like that. They've got great flavors and they've got a wide variety, and they'll keep you gaming all the way through the day, the night, whenever. It's very good.
It is very good. Drinking some right now. It's keeping, it's allowing me to maintain the energy required for this series. It's actively, of course, those of you that are not aware, G Fuel has has esports enhancing nanobots in its formulation. It's actively repairing my vocal cords after every game so we can be as excited and interested and erudite as possible. But, you know, there we go.
Warning, not all G Fuel has
Only
nanobots.
if you want it to.
Is that like a placebo thing where like I think it's real, so my body reacts as if it's real?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly. Placebo effect.
It's all good. Oh, it's a delightful day to try and navigate all the different things that are happening here. And what's nice is we just have this beautiful backdrop of Maru and Serral just navigating themselves into a standard opening here. Nothing too crazy. Berlingrad, it's a pretty map. I like the green maps. It just feels very, what's the word? It feels very warm and inviting. Yeah. Not like we're gonna see a bunch of armies just like clashing into each other and destroying each other.
Man, Maru, this is the second time Maru has done this, and this time his Reaper actually will escape, timing the KD8 charge perfectly, so as the drone is in the air, he's able to get the last shot off, killing that. And again, one drone at 3 minutes in the game, probably not the most important thing. I mean, you don't want to lose it, that's fair, and it will compound. It's probably worth, you know, close to maybe 1.5, 2 drones at this point, just for economics of scale. But really, it's the moral victory. Serral does not expect to lose anything there, so Rushi, phone it in. So Maru, he's got a 2-1 lead.
He definitely does, and this is what's going to tilt our blue Zerg off of the face of the map, because he's just incapable of handling small losses here and there. It's all falling apart here. What? He's building a Roach Warren? Is he completely out of his mind? No, not actually. But we can all be dramatic for dramatic's sake.
I like the drama. I like the drama of game number 2. I love the drama here in game number 3. Now, it should be pointed out, as Serral does lose an Overlord as well, so he will be supply blocked. The interesting thing here, oh no, Serral's got the hard counter again. I was gonna say, we saw, this is the second game against Maru in a row on Berlingrad that we have seen a player go for roaches just to try to put a timing. We saw Dark do it at 19 supply. He was for that really early timing that he committed to. This is gonna be much more that mid-game style that Serral was able to win with, by the way, in game number 1. But here's the thing. It's going to be Hellbats from Maru as roaches are on the way. This is not going to get anything done from Maru. And Serral, he's going to be in a wonderful position out of that. I mean, everything that he could win this game. Well, the Hellbat timing, it's going to find no value here. And then, of course, Serral is going to be able to run across the map and really start to punish.
Yeah, this has got to feel really, really good for Serral, and now he does reveal his hand here. All of these, immediately get remorphed back into Hellions. He's gonna pick him off with Queens? No, just a hair out of range there. Very, very close to losing all of those units. I mean, that would have been a GG moment. You just would not be any sorts of happy with losing 3 of your Hellions, having to reposition, and goes right back home and basically takes that exact same army and just defends. But how are you going to defend against this? You're going to defend with some decent high ground vision. That's a good place to start here, but there's just too many roaches. The wall's not finished. Immediately, all of the workers get pulled out of the natural, and suddenly you're finding yourself in a rough position where you're going to be supply blocked again by your opponent.
I heard, you need supply depots, you need command centers to build units. Well, certainly Serral is putting the truth to that one. Now, this is not going to last for forever. We have no detection. We have no anti-air. Banshees actually do a number on the roaches, but even still, Serral's going to be doing what he can to just deny the mining, deny as much tech, as much just agency on the map from Maru at this point. Behind this, of course, drones and drones and drones and drones, and look at this. He's not going for a roach style out of this one. He's got link speed on the way. We're going to see evils rather soon. He's going to play some sort of link bane style after this, and I love the swap hunt.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great investment on his roaches. He got the defense that he wanted. Now he's getting the damage that he wanted, denying a little bit of mining time. He's going to get a Spire back behind this. So as Maru continues to try and prepare for potentially more roaches back behind this, he's increasing his Banshee count. He's focusing on defending this. Serral's able to just freely transition. He's going to work on his creep. He's going to get himself back in a strong position. And alongside it, he's going to pick up Lings. He's going to be ready for any potential counter push. The scout will just signify that Maru is going to stay into bio, but right now much further behind than his opponent, 97 to 61, and Serral's going to be feeling really good with not only his opening but his response to Maru's aggression.
Yeah. Also, look at this. Look at the production tab here for Serral. It's going to be Mutas in this game number 3, and Serral, he found value on Glittering Ashes. Didn't feel like he found quite enough, and we eventually did see Maru just able to clutch it out in that extended late game. But in a game like this where you do have that lead, where you have the time on the map, that Maru's not going to be pushing into you and looking to punish that third base, looking to punish that fourth base, getting your Spire out now in the context of this game, it means you're going to be able to pin Maru back in his 3 bases for a good long time, which of course means the 4th base, the 5th base. You get so much map control. You get up to 92 workers, and you send waves and waves and waves of Zerg units. And yeah, you don't have to trade well. You just have to trade well enough.
So it's going to be 12 mutas on the production tab, plus 1 flyer as well. So this is going to be a good commit into the middle portion of the game here. On 66 drones, it's not a terrible position, but I think Serral needs to be careful here. The small amount of units that Maru is going to be able to attack with can still get a lot of valuable damage done, despite being a bit behind. And, oh, this is going to be a good catch on the Banshees. Even just a little bit of extra damage goes a long way, as Serral is going to want to try and drive this point home here. He's going to show up with the Mutas. Mutas are going to catch a small outcropping of Marines, and that's going to be very valuable. And now the Mutas are going to go jump on top of the production as well. If the Marines are in small enough numbers, that means that it's going to be difficult for them to try and get on top of everything, but picking off the missile turret instead is a much better target. 12 workers go down. The Lings are still in the main base, and the Mutas are going to be able to get out freely. And meanwhile, Serral also going to get on top of the third base location. It's pandemonium everywhere for the Red Terran player.
Yeah, we got a bunch of Banelings waddling on in. They're not even really needed here. We gotta wait for some Baneling speed. Serral may be being a little bit too quick on that one, but even still, 16 workers have died. Maru not allowed to mine from this third, and we effectively have here a Ling Bane Muta all in. This is something that we see Laser do on occasion, and of course, Serral, by beating a Laser in that quarterfinals, has eaten him, has gained his power. And now we're going to see this push coming on in here. Tank is not even C-tier. Muta's getting on top of everything that's important, as the tank will go down. Banelings, though, they're not going to get the best connections here, but it doesn't matter, because the army of Maru is not where it needs to be. It's a 50 supply lead for Serral here, as he will be forced back for the moment. The medevac's going down, though. The Mutas, they can just fight the Marines. Maru has nothing left in this game. GG. Serral, 2-1 lead. But here, Rushi, if my, at least of the games that I've casted, if my math is correct, I believe this is the second game that has been played on Pride of Altaris in this entire tournament.
I believe it. I believe this is the first for me, but I've only been here 1 day, so I definitely believe it. It's a tall map. And I think in the past, like historically, tall maps, like just for whatever reason, get banned out a lot. I mean, we saw Juggernaut over, well, the past year and a half kind of go through different waves of like, oh, this is a really strong Zerg map, we don't like it anymore, or oh, this is such a big map, we play 45-minute plus games on it, let's just ban it out. And or like, wow, this is really fun, we're getting some really cool games, and Void Rays are super good on this map, let's pick this map out. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. That's just super like low information observation on my part, but again, it's very pretty. It has a lot of colors, BeoMulf. It makes me feel warm and invited. And look, it's got an animal of some kind.
I believe that is the Artosalope, although it's maybe the Tasalope, not really sure. Because there certainly are both Artosalope and Tasalopes on this map. Now, you know, I'm very happy. Now, even if this is, honestly, this is a very Zerg favorite map. If Lambo's saying, hey, this map is broken for Zerg, well, you know what's going to be, it's very good for Serral on this game. However, one thing I will say is it's nice that we have at least some maps in the pool that are not just the whole grimdark idea. I mean, I understand that StarCraft is based off of another IP that we're not going to talk about for copyright issues, but, you know, based off of that idea, that's the typical definition of grimdark. But you know what? Give me maps that have nice pastel colors that are so soothing, so that when I play on them, I don't feel all that bad when I get wiped off the face of the earth.
Well, this is kind of an interesting point to discuss here. No Reaper. No Reaper opening here in game number 4. Maru's coming across the map with a small hit squad of Marines, which is a bit of a different opener for sure. Limits the amount of scouting that happens here in the very, very early onsets of the game. But Maru might be trying to get a little bit of extra damage done, even picking up like 1 or 2 free overlords for the cost. It's totally worth it here. Is it going to be able to grab before it gets to the high ground? It does. And immediately now it's all paid for. That's a good investment on the cost for that. Doesn't need to worry about the scouting at this point, and there's not a whole lot to scout. It's a third base timing, there's no quick lair, and now Maru just gets to benefit from picking off a free overlord.
And that he does. And the big deal here is, of course, the fact that, well, Maru is going for a 3-1-1 behind this. He's not going for the 2-1-1 when you get a third base. No, this is very much an all-in build for Maru in this game number 3. You're going to have a lot of Marines, you're going to have Stim, you're going to have combat shields, you're going to look to move across the map, and even if Serral is kind of nosed out, has figured out that this is a Marine opener, right? This is a 2 barracks opener. He has not quite figured out just yet that this will be a 3-1-1, and that is a vastly different response. Now, Stim combat shield's just about getting ready to the point where Maru feels comfortable moving out on the map, but it looks like Serral, he is going to get the scout. There we go. 1 barracks, 2 barracks, and he's going to back up. He's like, I know what this is. I know what this is. This is a 2-1-1. Although, that being said, the factory is going to be a little bit late for that, so maybe that's enough to tell him that this is a 3-1-1 here. Alien Nest on the way. Yeah, he knows what's happening at this point. Serral, he's going to be well prepared to defend this all in.
It's just a matter of making sure that you respond appropriately here. He does confirm now, seeing the giant amount of Marines coming out of this 3 racks opening. So it's all going to be about creep spread. It's all going to be about positioning at this point. But the Baneling Nest isn't quite done. It's going to be really, really tight timing here for Serral to defend. But Maru could still squeeze out a decent amount of damage. These queens don't have a whole lot of transfuse energy, at least a couple for sure. But it is now going to be a turning point. The queen's going to be able to push these units back. They don't want to just blindly charge onto creep, and that's going to buy just enough time for these banelings. One queen just walking straight on forward. A very brave call there. Good transfuses here so far, but the queens are slowly starting to thin out in numbers. The banelings, though, will be able to brood back behind and be as threatening as humanly possible. Serral, feeling really confident with that, drones up heavy behind it.
Yeah, that he does. He didn't even really need to use the banelings. There's a really nice zoning force. Yeah, losing 5 queens is maybe not ideal, or however many queens that were lost. But at this point, I mean, Maru, his third base is very heavily delayed. His eBay upgrades, very heavily delayed. Serral, at this point, the world is his oyster. He can do pretty much whatever he wants. I mean, it looks like we will see a next attempt from this push from Maru as he does rally a little bit more into the middle of the map. Of course, this could just be an attempt to catch armies moving across the map at this point. Yeah, we do have +1 underway, so we do have that follow-up coming up from Maru here, although again, +1 armor is going to be a good deal delayed, but still, +1 stim combat shields are going to be a really nice timing for Maru to look to hit, especially before the Baneling speed is done. Now, and also on top of this, I mean, creep spread is good here for Serral. It's not great. And we're going to have to see just whether Maru can look to punish that here, look to get on top of this army with his timing, with his upgrades, before Serral really has what he needs to properly defend.
Well, it's been Maru very aggressively trying to keep creep denied, at least on the right-hand side. So it's for the efforts of the Terran player that this is being taken care of. One rogueling just kind of hanging out there. Oh, okay, now taken care of. But Serral, yeah, you're absolutely right. One of the pinnacles of success for the past couple of games, just not only in this series, but in this day in general, has been his impeccable creep spread. And it's not as impressive this time around, and Maru is making sure that it stays that way here, using a lot of scans to keep things cleaned up, and that just buys him additional time to try and maneuver himself across the map. He's going to take his army here to the high side, wanting to get that 4th base pressured, and he might actually even get a cancel on it, depending on how well these tanks are going to be able to position themselves. And one sits pretty far back. The second tank, though, wedged in pretty tight.
Yeah, this is going to be a cancel here, but I love what Serral's doing. He's doing that idea. He's playing that idea of, look, I'm going to lose a base, but I'm going to take 2 at once. So as long as I keep one alive, it's going to be fine here. As now here comes the cleanup. Yes, there is an upgrade lead, but those Banelings aren't going to connect with a plum. So much the army of Maru goes down. Queen's firing strong on these medevacs, so even the retreat is a little bit difficult. There we go. One medevac does go down. And now Serral, at the next fight, he will have 1-1. He will have that upgrade lead over his opponent. But Maru behind this, he has been able to establish a 3rd. He has been able to get on up to about 53, 55 workers. His economy is in some way, shape, or form okay. And of course, his 2-2 is going to be really a much more synced up. He's got his E-base underway as well. Well, the question really is not, as those are massive Baneling shots, the question is not whether he gets into the mid-game here. The question is whether he survives what's about to happen right here, right now, as in 5 seconds, 1-1 is done. In 5 seconds, Serral's going to have a massively superior army. But he's got a 4th base. He's getting up into Infestors. He's getting into Lurkers. Into Hydras. He's not really interested in attempting to end the game right now because that is a gamble. And Serral, more than anything else, he likes the sure play.
Well, and it's so easy for Maru right now to just kind of bunker up and avoid trying to engage his opponent here. And this is actually a great example of that. He just decides to take his efforts and drop a couple of Liberators into these mineral lines. That's going to be a close call there. And picking off one of these bases, that's actually a full kill. So that's a nice little grab there. And he's going to pick up and leave. He grabs the Queen. He's going to continue denying mining in the natural. The main is still being dealt with as well. This is a much better exchange here for Maru. He's not really lost a whole lot, but he's dealt a lot of damage to Serral, and he's slowed him down. As a result, 135 to 115. Serral's not able to expand in the way that he wants to, and suddenly now it takes a little bit of the momentum and shoves it in his corner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at the amount of, look at the mining differential we had for a time. Maru, over 750 minerals a minute more than Serral at this point. Part of that's mules, of course. Part of that is saying, hey, Serral, you don't get to mine off 2 bases. That's going to be fun for you, right? Yeah, enjoy that. Now, that being said, of course, the timings are here. 2-2 is much more advanced for Serral than for Maru, but Maru does have a big army. And if he's able to really get the setup properly, if he's able to get his tanks what they need to be, if he's able to bring his entire army together in one spot, maybe there's room for him to make something happen. And look at this. We got tanks on the far side of the wall here. They're going to have a really nice spot to start to put pressure on this 4th base of Serral's. There we go. We're going to see the Marines on the high ground looking to just knock down these Queens as much as possible because tanks, they do a lot of damage, folks. At least that's what I've heard.
Oh, that's so many transfuses that have been lost to trying to defend there. And those tanks are going to be very difficult to try and get on top of because there just isn't as many run-by locations here. But this is a little bit better here out in the center of the map. These Marines are going to get overwhelmed. They do have to lift up and away, leaving behind the tank. So a little bit better engagement for Serral there, but it still doesn't deal with the units here on the left-hand side of the map. This base has still been evacuated. I believe the drones ended up just getting pulled to the alternate 4th location, but it doesn't look like it's quite done, so they're long-distance mining for right now. But that's a base that's going to go down. The tank positioning here has been very, very well used, and now it's going to lift up and away before these units have a chance to really get in on top of it. That's every unit out. That's a beautiful play by Maru.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Although, in all fairness to Serral here, what he has effectively done is traded a regular, a blue mineral 4th base for a gold mineral 4th base. So, you know, is that really worth it? But yeah, the base will go down. Not exactly what Serral's looking for at this point, as he's not even up and mining on that 4th base just yet. And Maru has his 4th. Maru has his 2-2 just about done. Serral, of course, he has his hive underway, but Maru will be able to pick up a little bit of a timing lead if he gets into his 3-3 immediately. And suddenly we're starting to see Maru get a lot of pressure here on the map. Now, his tanks are not with this army, so he will be forced back as the big surround is there. But you talked about it. Serral's creep spread has been incredibly good this game, and through the middle of the map, it absolutely is. But look at the edges here. Look at where Maru has been pressuring. On the right side, on the left side, it's a whole lot closer. Now we're going to have the Lings, the Banes looking to scrim on in. And there we go. Hydra's cleaning up everything as well. Maru losing so much here. But the Widowmine shots on so many of these Banes, the tank shots as well. These Banelings are falling down on the backside on the second half of that fight. Maru will be able to take it. And Serral, he's going to be forced back again.
And that ends up being a really good engagement here for Maru, who is able to thin out that Baneling count. And he doesn't lose a whole lot of his tanks as a result. So will be able to position himself forward. The Widowmine's going to be able to get into better location. It's going to be Vipers, though, out at this forward base location. Serral's got to be careful here. These Vipers are going to be very exposed if they're even allowed to survive at all. The gold base is going to go down. That's going to allow the siege units to continue pushing on forward here for Maru. How is Serral going to respond to this? I mean, he's going to try and posture to protect these Vipers. They're just way too valuable at this point and should be able to take care of it, but a good scan will show those Vipers exist on the map, and that means Maru now has new targets he's got to figure out here. He's got 3-3 on the way, concussive shells in the production tab, and Ghost Academy just now finishing up, so the tech transition is already underway.
Yeah, that it is. And I mean, we got to look at it here. Serral, he's only on Lingbane Hydra. He really has not been able to get more than 3 bases up for the majority of this game. And yeah, he was mining from the gold for a very brief time, but that is not enough to make it worthwhile. So yes, he has taken a 4th, he has taken a 5th once again on the north and south side, or I guess maybe like north and west side. But even still, at this point, Maru is putting so much pressure on the map right now with these Liberators as well, just giving so much area denial. Now, eventually, yes, the Vipers should be able to abduct them if Maru steps out of position, but we just have Marauders moving on forward. Just these units that Serral really doesn't want to fight for the most part, as now we have the army of Serral looking to move on in, looking to remove Maru from his side of the map here, abduct on top of all of these tanks, but still, 2 remain in the back line. The Liberators are still there, and Maru, again, he takes a fantastic trade, and his 3-3 is just about done.
On the mines were the heroes in that situation here, getting on top of a decent amount of the Lings and Banes, just thinning out all of these units and protecting the tanks and the Liberators in the back line. Serral's just been unable to really get any damage done onto that far back siege line. So now Serral has to continue playing back. Maru's able to continue moving forward, and it's just a slow push. But behind all of this, it's more and more ghosts on the unit tab here. Another giant stem here to try and draw these units further forward. Tanks have been the heroes in this engagement, and Serral just unable to find a way to break through those. A great positioning here by Maru, and once again, going to get some pulls onto ghosts, actually, which is a pretty good pull here. Those are valuable units, and Maru doesn't want those to get thinned out too quickly. Personal cloaking just now finishing up as the queens are getting a little bit far forward. Snipes onto those queens and those more expensive units are going to be very, very crucial here for Maru as he works to take an additional base.
Yeah, absolutely. Is now Maru, again, he not only has he taken an additional base, he's taken a gold base at this point. His mineral income is going to start to really explode here. He's now looking to push on in. He has 3-3. He has so many ghost tanks on the backside, as now Maru just trying to do what he can to break out through. The blinding cloud is going to knock down one of these tanks, but we have 3 tanks firing behind then. The army supply of Serral falling apart as he shakes his head, and GG. Once again, Maru ties things up. As we get into this game number 5, can we talk for a moment about the absolute murderer's row that Maru has had to go through in this entire tournament? Like, take a look at things for a little bit. In the bracket stage, he had to kill Raynor. He had to kill Dark, and he would have to go through Serral as well. That's not even, that's ignoring the bracket. That's ignoring the group stage at this point. Like, in the group stage, yeah, he had to get mana, but he still had to go through Bunny in a really intense TVT series. So, and a teammate. You had the team kill there. This run for Maru, if he ends up winning this entire tournament, if he ends up retaining his crown, it's going to be up there. Like one of the all-time runs of a Terran player, at least in TVZ games.
Can I tell you what Maru would call that?
Just another Saturday or just another Sunday for Maru?
Just another Sunday. He is the giant slayer of epic proportions. I mean, I don't think there's a single player in the scene that he looks at and goes, "Oh, I'm actually like really concerned." Check out that super beautiful logo. Love it. Oh yeah, I guess it would just be another Monday for Maru, definitely at this point. So thank you for pointing that out. But yeah, I don't know that there's anybody in the scene that he really looks at with fear in his eyes. There's just another opponent, just another person in the way of prize money, pride, glory, respect, you name it. And Maru's cleaned so many brackets and playoffs just with great maneuvering, great positioning, and great gameplay that I think when people talk about like, oh, poor Maru, it's 5 a.m. where he is, and it's so sad for him. It's like, well, I mean, it's a professional. Like sometimes you have to work weird, undesirable hours to get your job done, and in this case, Maru's doing that. And that's not to say like he probably didn't like stay up the whole day, guys. Like I bet he's doing all the right things. He's a really smart guy, and he's got a lot of people in his corner rooting for him, helping him make great decisions, not only in the game but out the game as well. So I think it's good to think and assume that Maru's doing all the things that he needs to do to be successful in this series, and clearly it's happening. We're 2-2 in a grand finals between two of the best players in our scene right now. So we're getting the good stuff, I promise.
And you know, at the very least here, we talk about players and timing and try to make sure that they're ready for GSL Super Tournament. At least for Maru, he doesn't play GSL Super Tournament until Thursday. So he does have a little bit more time. He's going to have time to recover. Maybe he doesn't play the EPT Cups tomorrow, but he doesn't really play in EPT Cups anyways. So it's going to be fine. As we're going to have to find out what exactly Maru looks to go on Blackburn. We've seen Serral look rather good with Lingbane Huda, but really both times he's tried it. It worked out once, sure, but that was because he was massively far ahead. The other time, he kind of took it late game and was not able to make something happen. And as we look at Blackburn here, as map number 3, the rush distance, natural to natural, is so short that it is going to be very difficult indeed for Serral to get away with that. So I think we're going to see a much more typical style here as, folks, hold the phone. I think Maru's going Mac. Now, at the very least, he faked that he was going Stim. Which does tend to mean that it's going to be mech there. Okay, maybe it's just going to be Hellion Banshee. We're going to have to see.
I like it. I think it's a good call. I mean, it worked for him in his previous series against Dark, and there's no reason why it wouldn't work for him against Serral. I just think it's a good call and a good choice. So we will see the Banshee come out here. We're going to get Cloak. That's a good question for us to try and answer. But it is an additional barracks here. So Dream put on hold for right now. It looks like it is going to be a bio follow-up.
I tried to be smart, and I made a mistake. Never try to be smart, folks. Not when casting StarCraft, because the players are always going to be smarter. As, yeah, will be a second and third barracks coming in behind there. Just Hellion Banshee for the time, just trying to bait Serral out into thinking that it's going to be concussive shell Hellbats, whether it's going to be mech, something like that. But the Hellions haven't been able to do all that much, as we do have the rocks here taken halfway down. It means that Serral's going to be able to pretty easily take that gold, or at least a lot easier than he might otherwise be able to do. So this Overlord is going to get, there we go. It's going to get healed up. It's going to be fine. We're good.
I like how you were waiting to say that just to keep it all open-ended, because you never want to make two mistakes on the internet. The internet will never let you live that down. How dare you make mistakes?
Hey, Rushi, trust me. I have made more than 2. But
okay, 3? 3.
3 is acceptable.
Thank you for being honest with us. I appreciate your vulnerability.
I do my best, Rushi. I do my very best. Here, there we go. Bailey Speed is underway. We got, of course, double Evo here. Serral just playing the normal thing. We probably should have going to see Hydra Din come down at 7 minutes. It's got to be fine. See, there we go. Interesting. He was kind of setting himself up to take the gold, but he says, no, that's a late game thing. That's once I've developed creep on the other side of it. So he's going to take all the linear bases on the right-hand side, just as far away from Maru as he can possibly be. And that is when this map gets interesting. Because Blackburn kind of has that golden wall idea to it, where you have the short rush distance towards the main, the natural. But you really are able to very easily expand away from your opponent, and suddenly it becomes much more difficult for the Terran to get that pressure on. So it almost forces Maru through one attack path and forces him to almost attempt to end the game rather than just kind of do the tiki-tack harassment stuff and deny bases. There we go. Of course, Serral, Hydra Den underway. Everything is as it should be as Maru now gets ready for his first push, or at least his first aggression in earnest.
Yeah, it's a lot of barracks too. What was it? We saw 5 in total. We're going to have an armory back behind this as well, so we will start getting those upgrades for tanks, for Hellions, and it's all going to be in an attempt to try and slow Serral down, and this is going to be a really good position to try and hold. Being able to deny the gold base is going to be very valuable for Maru, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him just stay parked there. But look at this, Serral going to come across the map with his own harassment. Banelings are going to find the bulk of these Marines, and yeah, now all of these units have to be split up, and the Marines are not going to be able to engage Zerglings as well when they're not all grouped up. But here comes the follow-up push as well. Serral going to be able to squash that. So he's putting damage down across the map. He's defending back at home. 20 SCVs taken care of. And there's no stopping Serral right now. He's completely shut down his opponent. And Maru's still trying to find a way to push Serral out of his bases.
That was a Terran-killing move there from Serral. Serral taking the timing, taking the advantage that Maru was looking for, where he had those upgrades, and Serral didn't. And Serral said, okay, look, I'm not going to look to take that fight. I don't want to take that fight. Instead, I'm going to put my Lings into your natural, into your third, get Baneling connections on top of all the Marines, really minimize those upgrade disadvantage, and then I'm going to kill 21 workers. I'm going to annihilate your economy. I'm going to buy myself so much time to get into the army, get into the economy that I'm looking for. And I didn't even lose my 4th. And I killed your base on the other side because you were dealing with the massive harassment at home. So now Serral, he's got his infestation pit just about done here. He's going to be able to go up into Hive rather soon. Hydras are starting to hit the field. 2-2 is on the way at a much closer clip than 1-1 was to the 1-1 of Maru. And at this point, Maru, he's got to find some damage. Serral really... and look at the creep spread, by the way. Serral absolutely owns his half of the map.
Yeah, I mean, he's starting to work on the Maru side as well, but it's a lot of what has worked for Serral, not only in his series with Maru, but Hero Marine as well. He's just slowing down his opponent. He's allowing himself to be able to do whatever he wants on the map. He's getting set up. He is creep spreading. He is expanding. He's getting additional bases, and Maru just doesn't have a good response to him right now. So suddenly, this is looking a little bit weaker for the Red Terran player, but this is a good force here that's going to be able to get up to the top side of the map, should be able to deal additional damage at the gold base. Once again, that will elicit a response from Serral, so Serral's not going to be able to clean up the center of the map as much as he wants to push that creep spread even further and to knock down all of those walls to allow his run bys that much more potential. But Serral still will be able to find additional scouting information. He's going to be able to drop Lings. Burrow is just about to finish up. We have Hydra upgrades on the way. Lurker Den is in production. It's all looking really positive for Serral right now. Maru still needs to try and find a way to slow him down.
Now that he does. Now it looks like Serral, there we go. This is what you want to see. This is what we've been talking about in games like this. And actually it's been the downfall of a lot of Zergs. You want to see Serral go take the contested bases, the bases that really anyone can take. North side, south side, doesn't really matter. But if you can start taking away this money that normally can't really be mined from all that easily, well, then it becomes very difficult indeed for Maru to just maintain that economy. So Serral just taking advantage of the position he's in to try to get even more out of it. But there we go. It's going to be a kill, not even a cancel. The Widowmine drop doesn't get much. But losing that base, that's, you don't want to lose that. I mean, at this point, Serral does have a bank, but even still, it's not all the greatest bunch of queens. The creep spread, the drivers of the creep will go down as well.
Yeah, losing the queens is a bit rough because not only is that creep tumor energy, that's a lot of transfuse energy that's just gone, but I think Serral was more invested in making sure that he wasn't going to lose a whole lot of workers to the mine drops, which in admitted situations, that's a lot more deadly damage over the course of the game. So keeping those workers alive, you can definitely sacrifice that hatchery that was just barely started and definitely lose the queens. But you've got to keep your economy afloat. Losing 3 workers is fine, but it's got to stay at that. Any more than that, Maru's going to be able to take advantage. And just as I say that, 10 workers goes down somewhere. I can only imagine a mine finally got its job done.
But Serral now feeling like he is exactly what he needs. It's the Lings, it's the Banes, the Hydras, the bust coming on in. Vipers just looking for the blinding clouds, looking for the abductors. The tanks are going to start to go on down. Banelings finding their way on into mineral lines here. Maru trying to do what he can to hold, but Serral, he looks like he's crushing on food. Banelings, though, mostly are done, but the army of Maru is the thing that's actually dying here. It's the thing that's actually dead. Banelings finding their way on into all the SCVs. The base is actually burning. Hydra should be able to knock that one down. And there we go. Serral in a massively advantageous position at this point. All the medevacs, they're going to die too.
Oh, Yeah, Maru just lost everything valuable, and Serral's not even worried about that base. Like, whatever, you can have that orbital command. Look at all of the rest of the stuff I got. I got tanks, I got medevacs. 6 medevacs is huge. That's a lot of gas that Maru does not want to invest in the medevacs. He needs those for ghosts, and back behind this, Serral's going to be able to pick up more additional lurkers. He's going to be able to start spreading that way, and look at the resources tab there, BeoMulf. They're almost identical with it, just 2,000 resources between them. Even if that's all in gas, that's still a pretty good exchange for the Zerg player.
Yeah, just a little bit here. Now we do have, of course, Serral pushing on in once again. This time he has lurkers. This time he has the powerful force, but also that's a massive concave from Maru there with liberators, with tanks, or at least I guess one liberator and run tank, really not allowing Serral to do that same break that he did in the previous push, and now ghosts are out. Now Maru, well, actually, he's not going to be able to afford 3-3 for a while. It's not even started. And this is the scary part. Maru, yes, he has ghosts on the way. Yes, he has tanks. Yes, he has liberators. But he's not nearly as solidly in late game as he wants to be at 13 minutes in the game. The damage that Serral has done to his economy time and time and time again is making it really hard for him to continue to grow.
Yeah, the growing is all in Serral's court right now, which is a very, very good position for the Zerg player to play from, especially when Maru is playing rather efficiently. In the last couple of engagements, Serral's not been able to get a whole lot done, but he's lost a whole lot as a result of it. So Serral needs to continue to win in this game just by spreading more creep, and again, like you said, denying the growth of his opponent by growing into the places that Maru would otherwise normally just expand forward towards. So taking the base in the top center there, being able to what's he grab? Oh, a couple of lurkers. Drops. Okay,
there
nice,
we go.
Nice little lurker drop. That's pretty nice play here. It's exactly what Serral needs to do.
Yeah, no, it really is. By the way, look at the we've been talking about this entire series. You've been very active about this, but still, I'm going to point out, look at the creep spread. The creep is outside of the fourth base of Maru at this point, just making it so hard for Maru to move out on the map. And again, yeah, he's developing his tech. He's getting into there. Serral has like 8 bases. Serral is just going to be able to just rebuild this bank over and over again. Keep trying to break Maru here. As once again, we have the army rolling in, but tanks target firing down all those banelings. They're just so clumped up. It's so hard to get in through that position that Maru, he's going to hold once again. And you got to remember, think about the Glittering Ashes map. Yes, we had Serral in a really advantageous position. Now, granted, it was Needling Bane. It was not Hydra Lurker Viper. It was not this late game setup that Serral's been going for. But we did, of course, have him in a really advantageous position in the mid game. Maru just fending off wave after wave after wave after wave, but eventually Maru hit 3-3. Eventually Maru got onto 5 bases. Eventually he got his ghosts out, and he was able to start just taking these trades against Serral. Eventually he was able to start coming back here and really starting to put the pain to Serral. And then we saw Serral, he ended up losing that game. It did end up putting Maru at a tied series, as now we will see these ghosts, these lurker drops try to make something happen. They will be unsuccessful. The ghosts are there in time, and now lurkers on the other side. This one's finding a little bit more value. 6 SCVs go down, but the ghosts, they got snipes, and lurkers not gonna be able to do too much more. Serral looking for that wraparound, but it's a little bit desynchronous. And now the ghosts should be able to get on out here, just lift them all up. There are no, oh, never mind. That's a lot of bangs.
Yeah, it was a great wraparound with the Lings. The Ghost had nowhere to go, and the medevacs were already full, so no lift off available there. And Serral's got to feel really good about that. That's a nice bit of damage to the Ghost economy. Maru's feeling a lot better now that he's been able to get his Ghost count repaired and restored to its appropriate level. But Serral's still able to rock a better economy. He's got a better bank. He's got more gas. So it's additional dropper lords that are going to be able to inflict more confusing damage across the map here for Maru, and a transition happening as well. There's a Spire on the way, so there's just going to be more options for Serral to play with.
And what I will say, though, you talk about transitions and Maru maybe being a little bit more comfortable. I don't know if you saw the income when it was last shown. Maru mining less than 1,000 minerals a minute at this point. He really needs these extra bases, these extra command centers that he has opted to take. But of course, once he gets those, once he's able to stabilize on 5 bases, on 6, once he's able to take that upper left base, suddenly he's going to drop the yields. He has, I think, 3 orbitals right now. He's going to start to add a couple more. And that mineral income is going to start to skyrocket. It's maybe not going to equalize at Serral at this point, but it will start to go and really start to at least get him somewhat back in this game. So Serral, I'm not going to say he's on a timer because he's not. He's in a fantastic position in this game. But we will start to see the economy start to equalize a little bit more. So what I would love to see Serral do in this game, Rushi, he owns the entire map. take the bottom base, start to mine both bases that are contested, and maybe eventually go and really start to take some of that money from Maru. But we don't see that happening just yet. It looks like maybe we have some lanes trying to knock those rocks down. But still, we have the bus coming on in. Vipers trying to get the blinding clouds, and it will be something. But still, only 8 workers go down. Maru, every time this happens, it feels like his trades are just getting better and better.
I keep thinking that every time Serral pushes in, there's just so many tanks that get so much good damage onto Serral's army that inevitably causes Serral just to back straight up. But the continuing to watch the banks does not back that thought up, because it's Maru that's continually having to try and build off of a low economy and keep his worker count low. He's at 60 workers and he's been stuck there for quite some time. Meanwhile, Serral has additional bases. He's got 89 workers and he's got a pretty sizable gas and mineral bank, and he can continue to trade a little bit inefficiently. But I think this is the moment where Serral wants to get more of that damage done, and there's so many Banelings that just pop the planetary fortress here. Banelings are trying to run forward. Ghosts are able to get back out and away, but eliminating the planetary fortress at the gold base location is going to be helpful for Serral, but it comes at a great cost. It's an evened army supply, or not an army supply, but an evened overall supply. Maru has a stronger army, but I think Serral is just able to capitalize on a little bit more. But look at the trades here. This is kind of an interesting situation here where Maru's been a bit more efficient and now needs to try and capitalize on this larger army count by moving out, but he has to do it on creep, which is a very scary position for the Red Terran to try and do.
What I will say is, I don't know how much killing that base was really worth it. Yes, you do want to remove the planetaries. It makes it a little bit easier to push than later. But there were like 2 mineral patches on the gold base left. Maru had almost mined that out at that point. Yes, killing it when it's full and denying all that mining, that's fine. But at this point, I don't even know that Maru really cares to build a planetary there anymore. It doesn't really matter. But I love what Serral's doing here. Right? He's like, okay, look, I'm really struggling to break my opponent. What do I need to do? How do I find my way? How do I find the final break? As I've been in such an advantageous position this entire game, well, I add Brood Lords. I do it a little bit earlier. I have even a better position, right, with the lurkers there to just defend them. And then, while it's going to be very difficult, of course, we have pathogen glands coming in as well. So we're going to have infestors that were just so useful in that last game. And there we go. 3 Brood Lords on the way. They do have +3 attack here, as we, of course, have +3 range attack coming on in as well. Serral, it feels like he's finally putting together that late game army that he's been looking for to try to break Maru, because it just hasn't been quite as successful just yet. Serral lost the 12 o'clock base, and he's about to lose the 6 o'clock base as well if he doesn't respond appropriately.
Yeah, and I don't think he can afford to lose it at this point. His bank is rather depleted, at least the mineral bank portion is. He's got plenty of gas to work with, but the Brood Lords are slowly bringing themselves onto the map here. They are morphing in. Serral needs to keep an eye on his ability to mine at this point. He is starting to run low and now losing the base on the southern end. The base on the top end is very exposed, and I would not be surprised to see that get picked up as well. Where are the Brood Lords at? I think they are on the southern side trying to defend what would be like the 3rd or 4th base location. But Serral has been so confident in this game because he's been so aggressive and been able to move across the map and get a lot accomplished. And now we're starting to see him transition into Brood Lords. That means he's not going to be as mobile. He's going to have to take his army and just kind of slowly push his way up the gut of this map. And that could possibly be where Maru starts to succeed. He's got a really mobile army, and he's got a lot of capability to be able to get on top of these slower, squishier units. And that could cause a lot of problems for the Blue Zerg.
Yeah, of course, lurkers are always going to be good defensive units. That run by is not going to find too much value there. But as you said, Serral, he does not have nearly as much agency on the map anymore. He's only got 4 lurkers. He really has not been able, and he's actually going to struggle to try to keep both bases, try to hold them right now. He was able to mine a decent amount out on the north side, but the south side, he's going to have to really commit to that to make it happen. And by the way, you know, we pointed out the creep just a little bit ago. You know, it was really crunching in onto that gold base of Maru. Was up on high ground. It has been moved 2 or 3 screens back to the right since then. Maru has so much more space to play with on the map at this point. He's going to try to, I assume, start to try to take that 6 o'clock base, maybe in a minute or two, once he mines out the bases that he is currently defending. And I mean, at that point, well, if Serral can't keep this base, Serral really doesn't have a lot of money anymore. His, what do we want to call that? The upper right base is close to mining out. He took that as his 4th. He doesn't have anything in his core 3. His gold base is mined out, or just about, as it's got very little mineral patches just left here. The Hydras are going to find a couple tanks. Serral's functionally only mining on a base, maybe a base and a half. His economy has kind of plummeted, as I say that, of course. His bank is right back where it needed to be. Actually, never mind. Maybe we're just fine. Oh, look at this, though.
Well,
Sorry. 2 extra factories and a fusion core.
No, you're good. I just think it's interesting that Serral's army. Okay, these tanks are gonna just be free donations. Nice, very nice. Serral's gonna be happy about that. But it comes down to, with these 2 banks slowly starting to dwindle out, the efficiency of these armies. Broodlords are gonna be really good at being efficient, especially alongside lurkers. But ghosts are gonna have something to say about that. Nukes are already on the way as well. Again, I still have nightmares about the Solar game where he had all of his broodlords just nuked out of nowhere. Serral's obviously not going to fall asleep on that, but at the same time, it's an important thing to note that Serral is not very mobile, and going up against another army that's not very mobile but does better at engaging against this kind of army is a high risk, high reward situation. These broodlords could win in the game, but could also cost him as well.
Yeah, we definitely have Maru there, moving into an army that actually deals with broodlords rather well. Thors with high impact payload, they outrange broodlords actually. They do such a good job of dealing with them. And yeah, we have, I don't know how many queens, but it looks like 5 queens with this army for the transfuses. But even still, these Thors are going to do a fantastic job here trying to knock down these broodlords if Maru can get the straight up fight that he is looking for. Now that nuke is going to drop on down here. Yeah, Maru just sacrificing his army. Says, look, I don't need these medevacs anymore. I'm effectively moving into late game mech. I'm moving into ghost mech at this point, because in the late game, that is going to be by far the most cost effective trade. The reason players don't go mech for the most part is it's really hard to get into 3-3 and ghosts. But if you're there already, you're able to start really producing all this. If you have pretty much every base on the map, well, this army is very good against what Serral has brought to bear.
And the best part is that Maru is able to just post up. He as long as he knows where the army's at, he can just easily sit and do what he needs to. He's got the top base now. It looks like that Serral's actually going to go deal with that. We got a nuke in the center of the map here, and I feel like some of these are just going to be nukes to try and clear up some creep, force some of these spore crawlers back and away. But I wouldn't be surprised to see eventually a nuke that just gets dropped on top of the army, just to see, oh, maybe Serral will think that I'm just clearing things elsewhere and not actually paying attention to that. But I think that's a bit of wishful thinking here. Both players just very slowly, carefully positioning. It's a game of patience here at this point, and at the 24-minute mark, it's really easy to accidentally try to pull the trigger if you get anxious.
Now, I love the use there of the broodlords on the changelings. And then, look, okay, I'm just going to spawn a lot of broodlings, see if I can make something happen here. But now, of course, not a lot of vision in Maru's armies right now, but those fungals on the blinding clouds as well. These Thors can't do anything. But luckily, there's a lot of stuff in the air. Luckily, there's a lot of stuff to keep Maru alive. The parasitic bomb not going to do a whole lot. I don't think that Liberator even goes down. I'm not quite sure how much health it had when it started. And yeah, there we go. Will stay alive. Maru, well, he can't really take that north base that he wants to take. But I think at this point, with how active the broodlords are on the north side, he could very easily float, say, his main on over to that bottom side. Just take advantage of the mule hammer, get as much money, steal as much money as he can from one of these contested bases. Because that's the big deal. I don't think anyone in this game is going to be able to really consistently mine from the north or the south base. Not at this point. Not with the game, not with the bases, not with the units as they are. But if you can go in and steal 1,000 minerals from it, and then float away, and then do it again 2 minutes later, well, you're gonna start to actually find some value with that.
I mean, I feel really confident about Serral's position right now. He's kind of wedged Maru back in a way to make that top base very, very difficult to deal with. But hold on here. A nice little fungal catches some of those ghosts. That's going to soften them up and eat up a little bit of medevac energy, although I say that and every medevac is completely full. So that's probably not a major issue. But I think it's going to be hard for Maru to try and push into. He is going to post up, get those liberators to siege into the right locations, and suddenly these units are going to start working backwards, and it's just this ebb and flow between these two players. Here it is. Here's that main army. Okay, he sees it. Or does he? No, he has to see this.
Yeah, there we go. We got the abduct on the ghost there. All gonna be fine as a bunch of broodlings are gonna try to run on in. This any sort of chip damage at this point. I mean, broodlings are free units. There we go. Fungal coming on down as well. Looks like Maru will lose a couple tanks. The blinding cloud is actually doing a really good job here. So many Thors going down. Of course, Thors are the answer to these broodlords, so you want to make sure you keep them alive. But even still, especially, yeah, with the blue flame hellbats at this point, well, not a lot to get in. And yeah, we are on Ghost Mech. We're fully on 3-3 Ghost Mech here. Ghost everything trying to stay alive, but now the fungals are going to be fantastic. The EMPs are not quite where they need to be. just yet. Not the best fight for Maru. And Serral, his bank continues to grow. He's now once again mining from that 6 o'clock position. He's mining from the 12 o'clock position. As Maru getting a little bit impatient in this game. Was this the right move? Snipes going down on top of all of the Broodlords, at least attempting it. But the Fungals, the Broodlings doing what they can to keep things alive. Maru's supply is dropping, but so is Serral's. I have no idea how this fight is turning out.
Well, right now the supply is favoring Maru, but just as I say that, Serral makes 68 Zerglings here. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that. These Thors are not going to fall very easily to even just a giant swell of Zerglings, but Serral's going to have to pay the price here. This base in the top of the map is going to fall 165 to 142. Serral's he's not having a good time right now. He kind of lost the better part of that engagement, and he feels like he sacrificed a whole lot to do it, and replacing those Broodlords is very costly and not something that he really has the time to do. But look at that Infestor right underneath of that main army. It's just waiting for its moment to strike. I'm like, the patience there was very, very good. Serral didn't want to commit 2 errors in a row, but he wants it. He wants to try and line this up, but the main army too far over to the right-hand side now, so it's just going to be a patient battle to try and find the right moment. But maybe it is right here, as the units are going to be able to get in on top. It's a nice little choke here, but the Infestors will try and lock everything down. The Lurkers get so much damage done here as they are going to reposition, and look at the supply, 130 to 103. Maru gets caught in the choke he thought would protect him.
It's a disaster for Maru there. He gets caught in a slow zone. He can't move. He can't reposition into an army that has been built to counter his own. This is the strength of Zerg late game. You can build one army and kind of trade out, do it fine, but the Terran has spent the last 5 minutes, the last 6 minutes building up to 8 Thors, building up this army that deals with the late game of Serral. And then Serral says, that's fine. You know what are great against Thors? Lings and Lurkers are. So I'm going to be able to get on top of that. That Fungal on top of the Ghost as well. Looks like Maru will be able to evacuate at the end. But here's the thing, Maru has spent his bank, so has Serral. This is probably going to be the last army of this game, and it's an army that Serral is going to look to crush on in with, look to take a 3-2 lead, but Maru's going to be able to force him back for a time. Only 11 SCVs do remain. Serral only on 24 workers. Yeah, he's mining 500 minerals a minute more, but that's just because neither player is really mining at this moment. Maru, if he can just find the time to just drop that mule handler and just find the time to mine out of that base once again, maybe he's going to be able to do what he needs to do, because at this point, Serral's mining no gas. He's barely mining minerals. If Maru can build the army that fights this, well, Serral's not going to have another one.
I don't understand what the players have with that little nook. They feel comfortable in that slow zone right there, but Serral's got to be careful he doesn't commit the same error that his opponent just did. Maru's going to try and put some pressure on this base. That actually will go down. That's a nice little pick off here, but the Lurkers are going to try and come on in. Corruptors will take out the Liberators for now, and some decent neural parasites here to clean up the tank count. That's going to take away a base. That's going to take away workers. That's going to take away positioning here, and Serral's going to be able to walk away with a decent amount of his Lurker count, but both of them playing so scrappy here, 95 to 79. It's hard to actually tell who actually has an advantage here. Oh, that it's been so patient. BeoMulf, is it going to get what it looks for? It does. It gets a nice fungal on both of those sets of ghosts. That's going to take out 3 off the head. The tank is out of position. The Lurkers are going to be able to reposition themselves, and BeoMulf, it's a little bit of chaos here for the Red Terran player.
Yeah, it looks like at this point, losing all those ghosts, they're losing the medevacs of the Corruptors, just really prevent any sort of hot pickup in the sky. Maru's army now is falling down, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. Maybe Maru can build more. Maybe Maru can come back. But at this point, no one's mining anything. It's like 800 minerals a minute here for Maru, 800 minerals a minute for Serral, and I feel like the army of Serral at this point has hit critical mass. He has enough spellcasters. He has 9 Lurkers. He has 2 Infestors, and if he keeps doing what he's been doing with these Fungals here, with the neural parasite on that tank, well, I don't know how Maru keeps continuing to hold at this point, but he still has 3 tanks here. Serral looking to push on in once again. The scan's gonna have to get dropped here. We have 3 tanks firing away. The Lurkers are going down. Snipes actually on top of all of these Lurkers. Everything I said is a lie. Maru makes the hold. He keeps his base alive. And what does Serral have to rebuild?
He has nothing. He's got corruptors, but he doesn't have the gas count that he needs to be able to make any brood lords. And at this point, those aren't going to save him. The ghost count is way too strong still, despite being a low army count. So lurkers are going to stay in the production tab, losing a queen. Every unit is precious right now. And Serral is giving away way too many units on his side of the map. Maru capitalizing on great holds and great positioning.
Rushi, hold me. Maru was so far down at 10 minutes in. His natural was broken. His third base was broken. Everything was broken for the Korean Terran player. But we're 32 minutes in. Everything that happened in the first 10 minutes doesn't matter anymore. Maru now, he's actually ahead in army supply. He's mining so much more. He was able to drop those mules on that last mining base. Serral, he's mining out of the north side a little bit, but so much has been mined out of that base. There's not a lot here anymore as the Lings, the Lurkers, the Banes are going to try to find their way on in, but the snipes are there. Nothing to cancel them. Ghosts on the high ground. GG. Holy hell, Maru. He takes the game. Now, Rushi, I'm going to ask for something from everyone around the world. Please. Right. Put your hands together. Will it? I want game number 7. I want 7 maps of the greatest Titanic matchup I've ever seen. Cheer for it. Run from it. Fear it. Hopefully, it will arrive. But to do that, for that to happen, Serral needs to come back from a soul-crushing loss in game number 5.
If these two players have enough energy to give us the same quality of game in game number 6 and game number 7, first off, like, kudos to them. I don't know that I could give a tenth of what they are firing right now at us, but wow, just the endurance alone. We talk about that all the time with players that play at offline events, and especially if they have to travel, they're fighting jet lag, they're fighting just a weird competition schedule. But this has been a test. I mean, we're 5.5 hours into our own stream, but that's after what Steadfast and SDC did at least 6 on their own. I mean, this has been a long day.
Yeah, by the way, as we get into this, perhaps the last game of the series, massive shout out to the staff behind the scenes, Lady Azillis, Kashim, Snoopy, our observer. They've been going at this the entire day. I'm starting to feel it. You know, we're only 5.5 hours in, only quote unquote. These people have been up since 2 a.m. Pacific time, 5 a.m. my time, making sure that everything is working properly, and they're still killing it. So, as again, this might be the last map of the series. I hope to everything that is holy in StarCraft that it is not, because again, these games have been insane. We got to give a massive shout out to everyone behind the scenes that is really making this work. Our observers, our admins, because they have been killing it here across the entire 3 days.
Yeah. It's an outstanding group of people. We're so thrilled to have all these wonderful people on our team. So yeah, giant shout out to everybody who helped make this weekend possible. Casters, producers, observers, and everyone, graphic designers, Sun Lily, what a hero to our team. It's been so rewarding to be able to share all of this work with all of you. We're so glad you guys tuned in, and we're so glad that we can give you such an amazing grand finals.
Yeah, amazing does not justify things here. As we have Maru in game number 4, in game number 6, looking for his 4th win. He's not going back. We talked about it. We said, hey, maybe hardwire, but no. Did not read the player's mind. He's going for a 2-1-1. He's going for the build that he used to kill Serral 3-0 with in Asus ROG. And you know what? That is some killer instinct right there. It's the TY211, of course, so it does have an economic setup behind it. But if you saw how close Serral was to winning that game, if you saw his expressions as the game ended, go for the early aggression, go for the thing, try to capitalize on not just the skill and the relative matchups of these players, try to capitalize on the mental state that you have created there by coming back from. Honestly, I think when Serral was pushing in that between the natural and the third, I'd say 95% Serral wins that game, maybe 97%. And Maru came back, capitalized on that, and just really don't give Serral the time to just come back in the game. Don't give him time to feel comfortable again.
I agree. I agree with that entirely. I think that's the keys to success. If we were to narrow down every possible opportunity here for Serral to get a game number 7. That is exactly where he needs to play from. He cannot allow Maru to get comfortable. He cannot allow Maru to do his thing, and that's what ended up happening against him in game number 5. So creep spread. Already a work in progress here for Serral. It's a 2-1-1 opener that didn't have a whole lot of bang for its buck here. I mean, there's still going to be double medevac coming across, so there will be harassment, but it feels a little less aggressive than it otherwise normally would be. So Serral is able to continue back behind this. He's got his lair coming on the way. Baneling Nest is on the way as well, so potentially has those Banelings for a potential push that's coming in here, and doing a really nice job of zoning with these queens. The Hellions not able to get in and draw any of the attention of his opponent. So Maru not finding as much success early on as he wants to, and Serral's able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you got to remember here with this 2-1-1 opening, it's not the, oh, I'm going to hit it 5 minutes, right? It is the TY 2-1-1. You look to hit closer to 6, and you don't expect to get quite as much damage done because it does hit a little bit later, but you can exert a lot of pressure, and you do get a third base behind it, and you get your 1-1 behind it, and you get combat shields. It's all just a little bit delayed to make sure that you get those units out earlier. Now, of course, with the Hellions here as well, actually, I believe they've been mostly held. Mostly hidden from Serral in this game, so the Hellions are going to do a good job. They will do a good job of knocking down, hopefully, any sort of link pressure that it really just comes to bear to try to clean this up. And yeah, Maru probably not going to kill any drones, and probably not going to get any queens, but what he is doing here with this 2 medevac setup with all these Hellions, he's removing the creep spread around the position where Serral wants to take his 5th. And while that may not be important now, it will be 3 to 4 minutes from now.
Okay, Hydralisk Den coming underway, so we're going to get more Hydraling Bane. Serral doing a nice job keeping tabs on all of these drops. Grabbing the Reaper is a nice little pick just to avoid additional damage sponges for those Hellions, but now needs to find a way to manage the damage of the Marine drop. So nice positioning on the Queens. That does put the Queens out of position, though, to really protect the main base, but a great spot for that Spore Crawler. Softens up a little bit of the medevac. That's going to make those medevacs a little less daring, as they are going to have to pick up and leave. So Serral's doing a nice job so far of managing his opponent and keeping Maru from getting little damage done here and there that stacks up over time.
Now, what I will say, though, it's kind of interesting. We talked about the last game where Serral, or a couple of these games in this series, where Serral has gone for, you know, quick infestation pit, quick Hydra Den, getting into those lurkers AFTP. Well, Serral has gotten his Hydra Den faster than he has in any game this series. The Hydra Den was done by 7 minutes, not getting started at the normal timing. So he's going to have this big, beefy Hydraling Bane army even faster than he might normally do, which kind of delays the Hive, to be fair, but it means this mid-game power that he's going to be looking for is actually maybe able to do something. Maybe he's just said, look, I don't want to play Maru in the late game. The 2 games that have gone in the ultra late game, even in the games where I've had a big advantage, Maru has taken them. And one of those games was where I had server advantage. So that's kind of scary if I'm Serral here looking at this, which is also interesting because in the series that we've seen between Serral and Maru thus far this year, it's been Maru that has felt the need to get aggressive early on because Serral has been the one that has been able to just dominate him in the late game. And it feels like at this point, the tables are turning just a little bit.
Well, and right now, it's currently Maru's advantage. If Serral can somehow clean up game number 6, imagine how powerful he's going to feel when he gets to return to the European server and possibly secure a game 7 win. I mean, it's something that we play it as fair as possible, like every other online event has done this year, but it is worth noting. I mean, if we're going to talk about the time, we're going to talk about the endurance factor, it's totally understandable for us to talk about possible server advantages, and that all plays in to a big event like this. And this will be Maru's opportunity to close that out and make that a non-issue for him. But if he can't compete that here in game number 6, then it's definitely something he's going to have to think about and fight against. The infestation pit does finish up here for Serral, so the Hive should be quickly underway very, very soon. And we see those Hydra upgrades getting finished up as well. So Hydraling Bane continuing to be the style of choice for Serral. I wouldn't be surprised to see that Lurker Den come down very, very quickly as well.
Yeah, and by the way, just to clear the air, this is not EU versus Korea. It is NA Central versus West.
I apologize. Yeah. That's my fault.
Yeah, no worries. But just so we're clear, we're not playing on Korea right now. We're not forcing that amount of ping disparity, as we got a lot of Banelings morphing on in. We're going to go up to like 45-ish. 42 Banelings finding their way on in, which means that Serral is maybe interested in really getting a big push set on up here. You don't commit that much gas to an army that you don't intend to fight with right here, right now. So army of Serral It's now here on the edge of creep. We got a lot of it, by the way, on the right-hand side. Serral setting up a massive bust onto the 4th base of Maru, really just trying to posture in the middle of the map with the rest of his army, trying to drag the army of Maru away from where Serral wants to actually remove the economy. Now, of course, Serral behind this, he is going for a little bit later hive. He's gone for a little bit later lurker den, still rather quick. And Maru feels like he sniffed this out just a little bit. We have army positioned everywhere. We have tanks positioned everywhere. This push on the right side, I think maybe it showed in the sensor tower just a little bit, but it's going to struggle to find its way on into a base of Maru. And now again, Serral decommitted so much gas to that, which means his initial lurker timing is not going to be nearly as powerful. There we go. Bane's trying to find their way on in, getting on top of this planetary, doing what they can. And despite the defensive setup, the planetary will go down. Bailey's trying to find the way on in, but the ghosts stay alive. Only 9 SCVs die, and that was damn expensive.
Yeah, I just when you can get the base, it's good, but you almost need to get the workers or the army. It's not just like get the base and then you're fine. You need to get 2 pieces of that. You need to get the SCVs, you need to get the army alongside that planetary. Otherwise, you're absolutely right. It's just a huge expense. But now we're going to see a Nidus network come around here. So Serral's going to try and find a way to make this a more a cost-efficient way to engage, and the Nidus network would be perfect for that. Here comes another roll by once again. Those are going to wiggle their way in a little bit further and find a bit more bio damage. Picking off a few of those tanks has been a little bit better. There we go. Now we're getting a little bit better exchange here. It's going to be Lings picking off workers. 12 additional workers do end up going down, and it buys Serral a little bit more time to get situated. But what kind of vision does he have available? He just doesn't have a whole lot. I think he might start working on getting that into position, but a double Nidus network, BeoMulf, that makes me feel things.
You love to see there, of course. This is just so you get twice as many units out of a Nidus at any given time. It allows you to drop multiple Niduses at any given time because, of course, they're all connected to the same network. Though they have different heads for all the same tail, or I guess the same midsection here, as we do have the Lings, the Banes trying to find their way in, knocking down the 5th base of Maru after he was so successful knocking down the 4th. The tanks are not really there. Banelings come crashing on in. Another base goes down. And yeah, that's expensive, but it feels like at this point, Serral is really starting to curtail the economy of Maru. It feels like at this point, Serral is starting to realize that he can't just take a couple really good trades, sit back, develop his next tech, and be happy with things. Maru is too good as please kill that ghost. There we go. The ghost will go down. It's like, okay, a move, hit that button. Maru is too good at coming back into the late game to just be allowed to be a little bit behind and play the game for another 20 minutes. He has to go, and you have to continuously press your advantage over and over again. It's not enough to just get more ahead when you're ahead.
Yeah, I think we're beyond that at this point in this, not only this game, but this series. It's been just a slugfest back and forth. Now we're going to start seeing things work out here. Double Nidus Worm, that is going to send Maru into a bit of a confusing role here, as he is going to have to try and find a way to deal with that. Just a couple of units left back at home might not be enough to deal with that. He does pull a decent amount of his bio to cover that, but now Maru's got to keep that in the back of his brain. That's something that he always has to think about. What if I fall asleep on my main and I let all of those units get in there? That's going to be a lot of production that's just completely knocked off the bar and will be difficult to try and recover from. So picking up a base in the bottom right hand corner is a nice little start for Serral. Additionally, cleaning out the mineral line here at the base on the high ground. Lurker's not going to be able to have a good position on those ghosts just yet, so Maru should be able to push that off, but Serral's going to try and secure more bases of his own.
That he will take in pretty much every base but one that he can reasonably be expected to take in this game. And, I do kind of like Hardwire for Serral for one reason and one reason only, and that is there are these bases that Maru should be expected to take, but they are close enough to the creep. They're close enough to the expand pattern of Serral that he may actually be able to take them before Maru's able to do so. Now we have Lurkers, Hydras, Lings, all fighting their way on in. Liberators will go down as well. Maru attempting to turtle this up, but again, this is going to be a little bit better trade for Serral than he was able to take earlier. But even still, the ghosts show up here. The rest of the army shows up, and Maru says, no, you don't get this place anymore. In fact, I'm going to take some of your map control. I'm going to knock some of your creeps right down as I look to continue expanding. By the way, it should be pointed out, I believe Maru did forget his 3-3. So Maru is still doing this. He's still staying alive here. Well, on 2-2, on an upgrade disadvantage compared to his opponent. And even still, Serral can't push on in because, well, did you know that spell damage doesn't care about upgrades? Ghost snipes don't care about damage. They go through it all the same.
Yeah, one of one of the perks of being a spellcaster, right? Is it doesn't matter how much your opponent's invested in other things. It's just I'm going to give you this nice flat rate every single time. So it's good position for Serral as he was able to capitalize on that. But that 3-3 that was forgotten is now going to start being a bigger issue. 3-3 for Maru finishing up, and this starts to become a bigger contention point for Serral. He has his creep pushed out pretty far. He's still got a lot of pretty close active tumors as well, so we'll be able to continue making that issue go even further. But I love it's the sneaky investors for me, BeoMulf. They just go in deep undercover, and like that's a movie plot line right there, like Deep Infestor 9 or something. I don't know. That don't type that in chat with KEKW. That'll make me sad.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely how Serral won that series against Maru. Most recently, in DreamHack Masters winner, he just got the Infestor play, he got the Fungal play, and was able to knock the Ghost down before anything could happen. And now we have Lingsbane's trying to find their way out in once again. Vipers will not be all that successful. Really not that great trade for Serral. And remember, every time one of these trades happen, every time Banelings get filtered out, every time Vipers use their energy, although that didn't necessarily happen in this game, we see an immediate ping-pong effect. We see Maru immediately getting out of the map a little bit more, removing some of the map control from Serral just a little bit more, expanding his position on the map. It's so easy as a Terran player to go and get locked into your quadrant, to be on your 4 bases and just not able to leave against a player like Serral. But in this game, that's not happening. In fact, Maru is just really slowly trying to constrict Serral back to this point, as we now have lurkers on the third base. The third base not even all that impactful anymore. It's mostly mined out. And there we go. Ghost will knock things down as well. But here, oh yeah, actually here's the big thing. We do have barracks on that third base position. So some of the production here of Maru is going to be taken down just a little bit, just a tiny bit. And there we go. And pathogen glands are underway. The infestors, again, they're what's going to win or lose Serral this game. And we've seen him do magic with them thus far.
Yeah, we've got so many great highlights from today alone of the amazing fungals that connected with armies and ended literally games and series. And wouldn't it just be special if we saw an infestor play take us to a game number 7? We'll just have to see how that unfolds. We are going to get a Greater Spire, so immediately starting a +1 flyer attack and getting the Broodlord Den. We're going to get those late game tech units once again. Serral feels confident. Like this is what this tells me is in game number 5, Serral knows that he had the control that he needed and he felt confident about what he got done, but he was upset with the execution because he's starting to build himself into that exact same composition that we saw. So hopefully he repents from his mistakes in previous games and gives himself a little bit better control to navigate. And this is a good moment for that. The lurkers do get pulled back and away. Queens are a part of the fight as well. Is Brenda going to get healed? No, the transfuse energy. It's getting picked away, but mostly gets out here. Serral with a very, very strong bank can afford to lose 1 queen. That's probably not a big deal.
Yeah, what I really love from this game from Serral, he's moving into the Broodlord tech so much faster. I think he learned a lot from that Blackburn game, even as he was extremely disappointed how it ended, which, fair. He started to realize that he really is not going to break Maru with Broodlord tech, not easily. Or excuse me, not with the Ultra tech, not all that easily. He's not going to break him with Hydra Lurker Viper, not all that easily. He needs that 3rd level. He needs that double space denial idea that almost worked for him. To be fair, almost worked for him on Glittering Ashes, it almost worked for him on Blackburn. In fact, I think it works for him on Glittering Ashes if Maru doesn't scan out the Morphing Broodlords. If he does not take the fight before the Broodlords are done, we're going to have to see whether that happens here. The scan does not catch the Broodlords. They're sufficiently far back from the army. Now, Serral will lose the space. I don't think he lost too many workers, but he will lose the base. He will lose the mining. And Tank sieging up what I believe was the 5th or 6th base of Serral in the middle of the map. But Broodlords are now finishing. There are 4 of them. There will be more. The scan catches it, but not in time. Maru now has to go back. He has to retool. And you got to remember, Rushi, Broodlords are a timing. They're not a late-game stable composition. Eventually, the Terran player is going to be able to build the counter, whether it's Vikings, whether it's Thors, whether it's just a whole hell of a lot of ghosts in good positioning, whatever it is, the Terran player will be able to get there. So we are going to have to see Serral really start to make use of them now, because they will time out.
Well, it's going to be hard for Serral to capitalize on that timing because Maru just has so many different sensor towers. Seeing a slow-moving blob on the mini-map is just going to give Maru every indication that he needs to start preparing for that attack and to start rotating, or even just to attack in a different location. If Serral's going to come down the left-hand side of the map, sure, Maru's going to continue pushing up the right-hand side of the map and punish your economy and punish your production. And that is going to compound the difficulty of trying to utilize this army composition unless Serral decides he wants to try and meet Maru in the center of the map and just duel it out old style.
Yeah, you know, 1v1 me, no items, middle of the map. Let's go. That's not going to happen, though. That's not a good result for either player. By the way, one thing I do want to point out, and we've been noticing it more and more as every game in the series, look at the sensor tower coverage. It's just like a concentric ring of, it's just like a Venn diagram of doom here from Maru at this point, as he has so much overlap. Yeah, group spread is great for a Zerg player. It lets you figure out exactly where your opponent is. But on the flip side, I mean, you cannot move on to Maru. Actually, you can't even be on Serral's half of the map without Maru knowing where you are. Now the Broodlord's looking to push on and take advantage of that high ground position, of that dead air position to start really denying bases, start denying anything that they can. Ghost looking for the snipes there. Looks like they will get two, but a Broodlord will be kept alive because, hey, transfuses, I hear they're a good thing. Serral finally getting into his 3-3 upgrades. I mean, he's had +3 carapace for a while, but finally getting into his +3 melee, +3 ranged. And yeah, Maru already giving away that bottom side base. He understands he will not be able to hold it for long, so he's just going to rotate around, try to deny a base from Serral, maybe. Man, this game...
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say he's just gonna maximize the amount of effort that he's gonna push in here. He's not gonna get this base's worth of return off of protecting that. So instead, he's just gonna cancel the planetary, just gonna float it up and away, and just get out and try and cause a similar amount of damage over on the opposite side of the map here, and should be able to push on in. Decent creep spread. Again, Serral doing a good job of keeping his creep out front of his bases, so that way he's got engagement points, and Maru's gonna have to back off as well. But it's the 21-minute mark, BeoMulf. We're starting to hit a little bit of a stalemate like we saw in the previous game, where there's nothing that the other player can do without putting a great risk at the army that they have and possibly throwing the game.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say is the bank for Serral is a little bit better than it was in that last game. Kind of at this point, he does have a lot. He does have gas. Right, that's kind of the big thing. His gas bank was kind of equivalent to his mineral bank, and it wasn't all that great after pretty soon. Pretty quick, but in this game, he's sitting on 65k. He is going to be able to reproduce his infestors, his gas-heavy units, for a good deal longer. The Banelings really do not want to fight those, do not want to fight the Marauders, and actually they don't want to fight anything because there are lurkers behind. But what I really want to see, and we're starting to see this from Serral, he's starting to take bases from Maru. That base on the left by rights should belong to Maru here. If he can take this one, if he can mine it out and prevent Maru from taking the 3 o'clock base and then start to take it by himself, well, then you have that base delta. Then you have the resources loss differential not mattering nearly as much. Bear in mind, it's about 14 to 16,000 resources are in one base in terms of minerals and gas. So there is that, as we will start to see some SCVs go down. Maru says, look, my bank is big enough at this point. I want to go down to like 45 SCVs. I want to build that that fist of Terran that's going to allow me to do what I want to do, get up to 160, 170 army supply, and just make it so hard for the Zerg to ever engage into me.
Do you want to know how I know Maru is loaded? He's researching the Afterburners upgrade for Medivacs right now.
Oh, you mean Caduceus reactors?
There it is. It's amazing.
I just felt the need to, half the time I remember that, I just felt the need to flex that one. But yeah, okay, we talked about this. We talked about whether Serral would be able to take a base and deny another. Not with this composition. Maru, he just takes the 3 o'clock base. He says, okay, look, if we mine the exact same amount in this game.
Oh, we're both wrong. Oh. It's rapid reignition.
It's a rapid reignition?
Sorry. Oh. It wasn't important. I'm sorry.
I thought I had it. Wasn't Caduceus reactors? Wasn't that a thing?
I believe you, but in any case.
You know what? It's fine. It's content of the day. If it makes someone laugh, it's all that worthwhile is. Yeah, there we go. Now Maru finally dropping his SCV count down a little bit closer to where he wants it to be. Maru, yeah, he will take that base on the right side. And again, what's the resources loss count by now? I think it's like 14, 15,000 differential. It's a full base. Resource loss at this point is Maru will lose an orbital. And yeah, he has a lot of orbitals at this point. He's got enough. He's got tons of mules. But this will start to become important because lurkers are still on the map here. Being able to go and just scan wherever you need to clear out creep, to clear out lurkers, they're starting to become impactful. And we talked about this as well, by the way. We talked about, well, you know what? Brood Lords are a timing. Serral needs to make sure he does something with them before Maru is able to retool. Well, that army is where it needs to be now. It is +3 mech ground, +3 mech, or yeah, 3-3 on the ground. We have +2 air attack coming on in, +3 just about done, actually. Maru going full on into that late game mech. And at that point, without how many Brood Lords there are, excuse me, how many Thors there are, these Brood Lords will not last all that long. I mean, yes, you have Queens for Transfuse. Yes, we actually... Does that work? Actually, yeah, I believe it should. We have the... what's it even called? We have the Infestor spell that makes you take less damage from the air. We see it so rarely now that I can't remember what it's called.
Microbial Shroud!
Thank you! Microbial Shroud. Trying to do what it can.
Let's go! So, yeah, this is a very, very dangerous slow push here by Maru. I mean, there's just not a whole lot that these Brood Lords can actually get accomplished here. They're trying to draw a little bit of tank fire onto those ghosts, but there's just not enough that's happening here, and slowly but surely, this is becoming a scary situation, but Maru is not taking the engagement that he needs. He's finally been broken here. The Brood Lords, enough. Microbial Shroud has done it again. No way. Serral, with a much better battle report here, is able to hold on to that base as well. What a crazy back and forth. And then we've got Smart Servos, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Smart Servos, probably the last upgrade available tomorrow at this point. Like, let's be real, as we will see a ghost get sniped down. We'll go down here. But I want to actually draw your eye to the bottom right of the map, or bottom right of this screen. Look at Serral. He looks so much more into it than he has for a good portion of this game. He wins that fight, he focuses in, and he feels like he's starting to feel a little bit better about this game now. I mean, he's been feeling pretty good the entire game, but it feels like he maybe feels like, it's like, look, I've been able to keep my base, I'm able to start taking these fights. This starts to feel really good as Maru's like, look, I don't need these SCVs anymore. He's pulled like 20 SCVs just to try to keep these stores alive.
Oh, this is another scary position here. Maru feels like he has to absolutely own this spot. A great fungal locks down a bunch of these units here in the front, but it's not going to deal a whole lot of damage. It's just trying to provide opportunities for these Brood Lords to get additional damage. There's just so many Broodlings that get pushed down, and a few of these tanks are going to get picked off. The tanks will get a little bit of friendly fire onto the Thors, but is this going to be enough? I'm just not entirely sure. It's hard to see what's actually taking shape here. A few of these Thors do get picked off, but the targeting is very, very difficult here. A good blinding cloud, though, is going to force the Thors back and away.
Man, with all the red on the ground, I was like, it looked like the nuke was going to finish, but it will not. At the last second, Serral is able to kill the nuke off, and I'm not looking at supplies. Not at this point. I'm looking at bank delta. Maru had like 8,000 minerals, like 6,000 gas. Now his bank has been cut in half, or cut to a third in the gas case. That was so expensive for him. He got barely any Brood Lords. Trying to deny this last mining base of Serral is not happening. And look at the resources lost. It was like down 14K. Now it's only 4. Serral is fighting his heart out in this game number 6. And I asked you all at home to put your hands together to pray to whatever StarCraft deity you believe in. Bring us to game 7. If there ever was a game, even if it ends here, this might even be better than the game on Blackburn.
And they just keep delivering. The punches that they keep delivering to each other are just outstanding. They are not holding back at all. Maru is trying to navigate to a different location here. He's for now given up. He's like, okay, I can't get that base. There's way too much siege happening here, so I'm gonna have to go to a different spot. So now instead, he's gonna try and get onto creep here, clear it a little bit out, and for the most part, Serral is not going to be able to capitalize on that. Despite the fact that Maru's in a wide open space, it's going to be hard for Serral to really wrap around him because of the army composition. But Maru doesn't want to overextend. Instead, he is just going to clear out the creep, let it recede, and then try and reposition once again, possibly trying to catch out a little bit of this army that was being bowled on the left-hand side of the map. But here we are, right back where we started. Okay, he's going to try and take the high ground here just a little bit better. I think that's a possibly stronger engagement point, but right now the Brood Lords are the big fear, and Maru needs to find an answer for it.
Yeah, man. By the way, we have a fight kicking off here as Maru looks to try to break his opponent. There's not nearly as much anti-air. There is not nearly as much space control as there was previously. So the Broodlords doing a great job here trying to knock this base down. By the way, as this fight happens, look at what Serral has done. He started to try to develop his tech on the bottom left side of the map here because he understands that pretty much the north side of the map does not matter anymore. It's just all about this one base that he's trying to keep alive. If he can hold it, he may just win this game. But the Liberators on their assault trying to get as much value as they can, doing such a great job here. Maru trying to push from low ground into high ground, though. He could not break the choke once. It's going to be so hard for him to break the choke again as we have Banelings coming in from the far side, really just trying to mess with these ghosts at this point. Serral, his supply falling down just a little bit, but Maru's got to be very careful about this position because any reinforcements are going to come on in for every side. We're starting to see the Thors go down just a little bit, but I think there are still like 6 that remain. Still, though, this army of Maru, it started to fall down, and there we go. We're starting to see Serral do the thing that Maru attempted earlier. Get onto the production of Maru. Start to knock that down here as we will start to see the Ghost attempt to get taken on down, but the nuke is starting to fall. Oh no, Rushi, the nuke is going to get targeted. It doesn't get anything, just so much damage.
Yeah, it's just, but I think it might have accomplished exactly what it needed to accomplish because now these Broodlords can't fight anymore. They have to retreat, so that means the base that he spent so much time, energy, and resources protecting is just gone now. But Maru kind of caught on the left-hand side of the map. That means that these little run-bys here are going to have to be dealt with smaller amounts of units. The Hydras are going to be able to clean up an additional orbital command. That means that's going to be less scans, that's less mules, and this is a very scary situation. There's infestors here once again. Is Serral or Maru in the rough position here? I'm not entirely sure. Those Broodlords are so damaged, they just cannot afford to take even 1 or 2 stray Thor shots. Hold me, BeoMulf. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to feel right now.
Yeah, no, this game, absolutely insane. That nuke dislodging Serral from his last mining base. What I will want to say, though, notice how Serral, he had 2 potential mining bases left. He had the 9 o'clock and he had like the 9.5, 10 o'clock base. Okay? He was only mining from the 9 o'clock. All of his drones were committed on the 9 o'clock, the base that he was more likely to lose, the base that was harder for him to hold. So now when he looks to retake the, I don't know, the 9.5 o'clock base, the 10 o'clock base, there's a lot more to mine from. Meanwhile, Maru, he only has those bases on the right-hand side as well. We're going to have to see whether he can put some pressure on. As you mentioned earlier, the creep spread is gone. Serral had to tap deep into his bank after that last fight. He went from 9,000 minerals to about 5, down to 4 here, so he will lose a couple more infestors. His army is maxed out, yes, but we are starting to see the death push come in from the Terran here. How does Serral look to take this fight? Does he run by? Does he try to take the fight? There are no Vipers, at least actually no, there are, I think one or 2 Vipers in this army. It's going to require some really good Blinding Clouds to keep these Thors alive, to keep these Thors from killing everything. But the Blinding Cloud, the fungal on top of everything, is it enough here for Serral to try to take the game, try to take the fight? The Blinding Clouds have timed out, but the Thors on the right-hand side are dead. The snipes from the Ghost as well, there's not enough detection, but it looks like here, maybe, just maybe, Serral with another good set of Blinding Clouds, maybe he's going to have enough. Still, though, there are so many Thors in this game.
I think one thing that I noticed at the very beginning was a giant EMP on top of all of the infestors. The fungals that landed, it was only 1 or 2 because that's all the energy that ended up happening here for Serral. So this could have gone so much better for Serral. Maru manages to land an important spell right at the very, very beginning. Additional Broodlords being brought in, 12 total. The Corruptor count is getting brought back into the game, and both players, despite losing 40, 50, 60 supply, immediately maxed out once again. But look at the banks. Serral is really falling behind on the economy, and Maru still has at least half to 3/4 of a max out left in his bank.
Serral is not mining. He's getting like 10 minerals a minute at this point, something like that. Absolutely no gas. We're looking at the last army, the last march here of our Zerg player as he tries to do what no one has done in 3 tournaments. Try to break the Terran might that is Maru, as again, the massive amount of Thors. They're like 10 Thors in this army. Ghost just enough to get the EPs, to get the snipes. Will Serral be able to take this fight? Will he force Maru to exhaust his bank as well? Ghost on the right-hand side will go. Will get target fire down by these Lings doing the can. Blinding Cloud on top of all the Thors. The Fungals as well. Is this it, or has Maru broken Serral in this game? We have some Neurals here keeping the Thors from fighting themselves, and it looks like just barely Serral. He wins the fight. He knocks down all the Thors, but still he has no bank. Maru does. The Maru's supply dwarfing Serral at this point. but it's half of it's in the economy. Half of it's in the fact that Maru is still mining. The army of Serral, it's still in some way, shape, or form able to fight.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for Serral that he doesn't have any push potential. He can't go and respond to cleaning up a giant chunk of this army. And despite that fact, there's still plenty of ghosts available. There's still a few Thors that can easily zone this army out. So trying to secure this base is good, but Maru's got a lot more going for him right now. 162 to 100 supplies. Serral is on life support at this point, and it's starting to look really, really rough for the Zerg player. I'm not quite sure what he's got ready to go, but it's all going to come down to the engagements at this point. I don't think Serral can afford to take anything other than a complete win of an engagement going forward.
No, he's down 50 army supply. That fight reset Maru's bank, much like the fight previously reset Serral's. But Maru is mining. In fact, he's mining the base that Serral had earlier. He's doing that thing that we were trying to get Serral to do when he had that map control. He has the left base. He has the right base. There are so many Thors here in this game. Serral has to take another insane fight, and look at this. The Thors are split. You're not going to get another fungal, another blinding clouds combination like that. Not unless, I don't know, something insane happens here. There's maybe the Thors, the ghosts going on, and these ghosts at this point just moving on forward, trying to get the EMPs on the spellcasters, and he gets it. GG Maru, champion. Maru, the second of his name, takes King of Paddles 2 years in a row. Holy hell, Rushi, hold me. I don't know what to do with myself. What a series from Maru. Can we interview both? Like, can both players win that? Can both players win that game? Can both players win that series?
Something tells me that Serral might not want to do an interview right now, but what a series. What an absolute... That's what we wanted. Like, I think for years we wanted the full drawn out, full power, all 7 games. We didn't get game 7, but we got pretty close. And I don't think anybody can look at this series between these two players and be upset with what they both brought to the table and the kinds of games and the sick hype that just spawned from it. That this is a series that will go down in StarCraft history as one of the great excitings. I'm so excited. Like, congratulations to both of them, but especially to Maru, King of Battles, 2-time champion.